Hey Chuck, they on their way over now. We just started to start a whole new live for this. Can you hear me? If you're talking, I can't hear you. You might be muted.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, they coming over here now. Uda closing out, and I don't want to call him by his Ansaar name because he going by DJ Maze. But yeah, devastated. But they headed over right now, and I sent him the link already.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm not going to be on too long because I got to get ready to go to work. So I
Mm,
need to go to bed again.
yeah,
But naturally, when I get to work, I got all night long.
of course. And
Yeah.
tomorrow's my off day.
Oh, cool.
So, what did you think about that interview tonight?
Oh man, that shit was ridiculous.
I mean, it just seemed like exploitation to me, but that's just my opinion.
No,
They called me
no,
a
no,
bottom feeder.
no. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that because yeah, man, to see the way dude was just sitting back gloating like a damn devil, man. Dude is a
Yeah,
sick. He was enjoying that conflict, you know. And I'm looking in the chat and I see how they're blocking or they're
yeah,
um
I saw how they was doing. They were
yeah,
completely ignoring who was it, Leah? They
yeah.
were completely ignoring hers, and by
She
the
want
time I got in there, I guess they had blocked everybody else.
she sent me the screenshot where she asked him to give it a link and he said no, I don't want you on tonight. Come on another time. And I'm like,
But you
and
know
she was
what?
like,
You can
fuck
tell
him,
all
I
of
ain't
them if they see me live, they welcome to come over here whenever they feel like it.
right. I let him know. So
'Cause this is getting past
yeah,
ridiculous. He
that's
trying to
that
stretch this
this
out to make
but
a
my
buck.
But what I was glad to see that was how, because I sent Jacob the link, and then he said, "What's this?" And I told him, and first he wasn't listening until I told him that because they said I heard it. She said he was molesting kids, and that's
Yeah.
when I said, "See, they saying it again." And
They
then
running them same lines from the ones that they've been
yes,
had up on the block being
yep.
facts.
But he has never come up and addressed it live.
Yeah.
This was the first time, and that's what I was glad to see. He shut
Mm.
that shit down. Excuse me, dog. Sorry. Yeah.
But it made me see red. I ain't mad because I didn't get the interview. I ain't worried about that. They come when they come. You know
They
that.
come. Yeah.
If it ain't, if they ain't
That's a
came yet, it ain't time.
yeah.
You know.
That's a family thing, man. It's
Yeah, but
bad.
to
It's
just see
really
the way they treated them in that chat,
yeah.
and he ain't got no control over down from the subs to the mods, and his own regular subs are sitting up and telling him this is not what I want to see, and he just sitting back laughing, and your numbers dropping. You was
Yeah.
hitting 2 and 3K, and you didn't even pass 1,000 tonight. Hey Prime, hey Maze, did Lord did Uda send you the link, or I can drop it in the chat if you need it. There
So
go DJ Maze right there.
oh, you that's my man. That's my main man from way back. Yeah.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
talking about
'cause
him?
I asked him. I said, "What was your name in real
Oh
life?"
yeah.
Yeah,
That's my man.
Shalama.
He was there. Hey, most of that stuff I was saying about the like when we was bringing York's kids down and
Mm-hmm.
that situation where the dude had fondled her. He was
Yep.
there. Yep,
See,
he was there.
Maze, this is why I wanted you to come up. I had a feeling. It always seemed to work out this way,
Yeah,
and it
but
works better this way because it seems like y'all kind of prompt each other. Hey, to
yeah, you all,
sir,
yeah. Now I remember that
shalom.
was his name. Yep, that was his name back then.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I was
sis.
trying to send it to you, but my autocorrect kept changing it to towels.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
sent
what?
towels. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't eat all this.
Look, it's like, who is that? Like, no,
I'm
no,
like,
no.
who that? Now I remember. Yeah.
Do you
See
need it or
now,
does he have it? Oh,
huh?
I
Yeah.
was asking Maze, does he need the link or does he have it?
Are we live?
Yeah, we live.
Damn, I'm chewing.
You,
Hold on.
Chuck, when you be over here, your mic messed up. It sound like you eating some hellified corn nuts. So that what you doing right now ain't bothering nobody. And I didn't even know nothing until you said something. Okay, your mic still ain't working. Dang it, man. I sent it to you a text message. I just go ahead and put it in the chat, but I didn't want everybody to try to jump up here at the same time. Let me find my chat. Lord. Oh, somebody made me a new avatar today. I had a tickle off of this one. Okay, you got the link, but you don't have a mic. It don't work. You can't. Hey, can you just call in on a phone number though? Because I can give you my Google number and you can call in on that if I can find where I got it wrote up. Devastating for you.
Yeah.
I gotta organize my sticky notes because I can't never find nothing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, here it is. Ah, if you can call in, because this is my Google number, so no, now I don't want to copy and paste. We used to overcome the technical difficulties over time.
What's the problem?
Oh, his mic and his camera ain't working, so I told him he could call in on the number. Let me
Oh.
pull it
Mm-hmm.
out.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's the
I
only
can.
reason
Go
I'm not.
ahead.
That's why I'm not showing my camera now because I'm got
Yeah.
a mouthful of. Mm, mm.
Yeah, I heard he was slick saying stuff like we can't be sure. This man in jail for
Man,
135 years. How
look,
much more evidence do you need?
look, man. I don't know what his angle was, why he was doing that, but it's the same as anybody else saying, well, the
He trying to
alleged,
keep
there
Uma
is no
coming
more
back.
alleged. There's no
He
more
trying to keep
alleged.
Uma coming back.
Oh, of course. Of course. There's no more alleged. There's no more allegations. This thing went to court. It went to trial. The results were not in his favor. But I'm glad Jacob pointed another thing out is that York was mentally incompetent, but they still put him up there.
Yup. Who is that? Some up there go Uda. We gonna pull Maze in through the phone.
You want to bring him in? You want to call me?
Yeah, we bringing him in through the phone. He say his mic and his camera still ain't working, so I gave him my Google number. He go call in that way.
Call me. I'm gonna email him so you could call me. I could bring him in through my system.
Okay, cool. You can do it that way too. He in the chat, so he should hear
I'm gonna
you.
email you right now. I'm gonna send you my number. Maze, you just call me and then I'm gonna bring you directly in.
Shalama over here wilding. The aliens just dropped me out so I could attend the show through the chat. We had a ball. We played Bill Call with foreign drinks. Y'all still ain't answered my question though. Who was the big spoon and who was the little spoon? Ramil, peace.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey, Nandy. And here we go. Oh, we got to drop the hammer too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost slots if anybody else want to jump up. But we got to be orderly with the questions. Chuck's not going to be here long because he got to get ready for work and stuff.
But I'll be like I said, however
Yeah.
long I'll be here, but I can come back on.
Oh, look, Angie got the spare keys. So
I'm gonna try to get. You heard Chuck?
Huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get Maze up so that you can have a conversation. I mean, I really wanted Maze to come across, so really that's what I wanted to do. Really. So I'm gonna send him my number real quick, and then we just go from there.
Yeah, he gonna pull him in through here so because the sound will be better.
Yeah, I had some questions.
Hey, Sister Tosh, I got a question, sister.
What's your question?
No, the brother that spoke before me, he can go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah, I had a question from last night, but I wrote it on a sticky pad for real. I can't find it. But go ahead.
Okay, brother. Hey, is Chuck still on? Is Chucky still on?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Chucky, you was affiliated with Dr. York, brother?
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask you this, man. Hey, I'm from Augusta, Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, bro, Athens, is not too far, from a hometown or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like an hour or whatever. And they had a bookstore here in my hometown, man. And I wanted to ask, bro, hey, was the bookstore, was that the hook, bro?
What do you mean? Was it the hook?
I mean, what I'm saying, you got different people, want to come in and visit, and read the material or whatever. I mean, was the books, you know what I'm saying? Was that the hook, to try to get people affiliated, with Dr.
Oh,
York
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book, that's what made him, that really is what made him or gave him this notoriety, because there were things that were contained in the books that was designed to, trigger a response. That, and the way that he wrote it was almost like a novel, because he wanted to get the next one and then the next one and so on.
Okay, then. Hey, man, I appreciate it, brother. You answered my question, man. I appreciate it, my brother.
That was the hook. Right on.
Hey,
yes, sir.
You had a question?
No, I'll find it going.
You still can't find it. No.
But the books was out. The books was out before the internet, so we're talking about a different dynamic.
Right. That's why to the brothers, the answer to the brother's question was the book the hook? And the book was the hook because it goes all the way back to the late 60s.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. You're absolutely right. My dad and I, man, we used to go there and visit the bookstore, and I bought like 3 of them, man. He almost had me, bro. He almost had me, but yeah, but I believe in the Bible, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I went, that was my guideline. You know what I'm saying? So, I went, but went by the scriptures, and it didn't line up. According, to my beliefs.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, what he did was he's going to mix a little bit of truth with a bunch of falsehood. So, like I said, if you're going to attract people that might be into, say, the Bible or the Quran, then you're going to have to give them passages from the text that's going to spark their interest. And if you find scripture that matches what he's saying, then over time, when you built up a belief in what this man is teaching, then what you're going to discover is that, okay, well, then if this is factual, then what he's coming with after that is also factual. And that was how he was able to shift the direction. Like one of his popular cliches was, I gave you what you want, so you learn to want what I have to give.
Yep. Sure did.
And people would interpret that in different ways. Say, oh, well, see, we wanted religion, so he gave us the religion. And now that we've moved past religion, here's what he really has to give. So it was like that.
Real talk, bro. That's exactly how it was, bro. Yeah, I saw that, man, in them books, bro. I know you talk about. Yeah, hey, Chucky, I appreciate you, bro.
Hey, man, anytime.
All right, brother.
You got it.
Yeah, that's some heavy shit.
Real talk.
So, like, out of what Uma said tonight, how much of it was actually factual?
Well, see, that's where you got to slow it down, stop it, rewind it, because some of the things you said was true, some of the things you said wasn't, and there's a number of statements she made that, unfortunately, only the people who were in Brooklyn at the time will be able to attest to it.
Mm-hmm.
You talk real fast too.
Well,
I don't
all
like
the
that.
time.
She's
But
trying to break
yeah,
it down. Yeah, it's no
that whole
reason to rush. No, it's no.
situation,
It's no
that
reason to rush.
situation about the that shooting, all that. That's you got to talk to the
And
people that
then as
were.
soon as she came out with that shooting story, that's when Ezekiel came out and gave his version of it.
Hmm.
He wasn't there, but he picked up the affidavits right after it, so he had a pretty good rundown. And then you got other people coming. If more people saying that you're telling the story than they saying you telling the truth, you have to weigh that. 'Cause this ain't this something ain't right. I keep saying it's some reason other than the
Ain't
obvious
nobody.
that they just rabid right now.
So nobody on the street validated it or vouched for it.
See, I don't know. I wasn't up there, so
Nobody
Damn.
has
yeah,
that police
God damn.
case.
I
All
didn't
this
honest.
time.
I didn't
All
even
this
Nobody
know
has
time.
about
that
it.
police case. When Uma
Yeah.
came out and gave her version, the
Yeah.
next night, well, that night, Ezekiel was in my chat and he was like, "Can I come up and speak on it?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know how I am. Yeah, sure, hop on up." He hopped up here and he was like, "Yeah, I was there." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Damn.
That's why I don't worry about none of that stuff because it's like y'all come over here when y'all supposed to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I cannot. That tonight disgusted me. I cannot. I mean, you can sit up here and call me a thief and a bottom feeder, but I ain't sitting up here trying to profit off of people pain and sitting up here and watching two siblings go with each other tooth and nail
Yeah,
because
that
they
was.
came out of a messed up situation and you sitting up there laughing.
Yeah, he was giggling. I didn't like that.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Like
That
he
was not cool.
I could always give the dude, what I'm saying, who y'all talking about, the benefit of the doubt, but that was disgusting tonight what I saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't like, I've been, paying attention to the conscious community for about 10 years. And every 5 years, I say about every 4 years, is a sibling or somebody that was in the Nuwapian nation tries to come out and try to put this doubt into the community. Whereas, Dr. York was this, he was innocent, he was framed, and the thing is, like Chuck helped remove all doubts for me when I heard them transcripts.
Mhm,
You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
mhm.
And because it was somebody in the chat tonight that was talking about, oh, he just got indicted just on the racketeering charges. And you know what I'm saying, when you Google his name and the reason why he was arrested, it gives you the reason why he's in jail, and it tells you the amount of years,
Exactly.
135
It
years.
pulls it up in big black letters. Hey,
Yeah.
Prime, what year was that shooting with Polite supposed to have happened?
uh i'm I'm not so sure about that,
That's what I'm
It was the
saying.
early 2000s, though, like
Yeah, I think it was about
2006.
2006. I think somebody
Yeah,
said,
go
yeah.
with 2006 Cupcake. It's right around them. It's right around
Somebody
2006.
should have seen something. It should have been a bullet
But
casing
see,
where
there
the
was
gun at.
affidavits. There was a whole investigation. But Ezekiel said the reason Polite was never charged was
Mm,
Polite wasn't the aggressor, and he
mm,
tried to save the dude that got shot.
oh,
He administered medical aid or whatever. That's what Ezekiel said.
yeah.
So
Man, and then the Wapian thing, see, like I've come across a lot of especially even the women, a lot of them are street people, man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And even the chick that was talking tonight, she's into that lifestyle herself. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. She
So
talk
don't,
real fast. Yeah.
yeah, you can go on her Instagram and check it out. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't trying to demonize her or nothing like that.
Nah,
You just see what you see with your own eyes, and then you know what
nah.
time it is, man.
Yeah, that's just her. That's it. Yeah, it ain't no good
Yeah,
or bad or level. I mean, that's just
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
I'm just saying all of them people gangsters, man. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. That's a gangster conversation that's
nobody
taking
else is
place.
not
yeah.
none of them.
It's not the Cosby's and shit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
I mean, and when she said that stuff about Jacob's mama, if Jacob could have reached through that screen, he'd have had his hand all the way around her throat.
Yeah, even when Morris World said that about, are you a child molester? If you say that to somebody, a real man, in his face, you know what I'm saying? Especially a guy that ain't getting down like this just because somebody's saying that. Somebody, man, you liable to lose all your teeth. You know what I'm
Word.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
At least.
Like, yeah, I'm not finna sit here and, entertain it because you got a YouTube channel, you know what I mean, trying to profit, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, off somebody's pain. And, you could look at the girl profile, the thing she putting out. She's mentally disturbed. We can see that. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, even the doubt about, like, I think her husband was talking about, like, oh, he was only indicted on a trafficking and all this, always that doubt they try to put out every
Yeah.
few years. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, that man guilty of sin, bro. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard his followers say strange things, so like about that kind of stuff. And even his followers, a lot of his followers, that's still going along with him today. They call the children little people. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
Well, most of the people that's defending him, they wasn't even around at that time. That's what's the stupid thing about a lot of the people you see out there now defending him wasn't a part of, never met him, wasn't down, none of that. And the people who were, they moved on.
It was in Bushwick, Cupcake. He stopped and tell me that.
There was a lot of motherfuckers down there, like NBC News. I was like, damn, I didn't even know it was this big. Yeah, I'm talking about this motherfucking shit was damn near OJ status when the verdict went down to the second.
And they recycling the same old lies they've been telling this whole time.
Yep,
Oh,
same
Jacob took
lies.
the children to Disneyland. Oh,
Like I said.
Jacob was molesting the children, even though he was the same age as the children York molested.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jacob was kicking people off the land, even though we know that ain't true. You
Yep.
know, all this. It's just like, why would you sit up there? Why wouldn't you have somebody up there that gives reliable information? Because really, Uma is an unknown entity
Mm-hmm.
to social media besides what she do on her own time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it didn't make no sense to me why he would do that in the first place. I was like, why wouldn't he have somebody like you or Twanunin or another ex-Nuwapi in there to fact check her? York is in
That's
Supermax in Colorado. Go ahead, Tip.
no, that's what, like I said, depending on what she said, and you got to slow it down, and then you got to bring context to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for any of them guys that are still pushing the he's innocent thing.
How can you be his? How can he still be your guy though if you don't like what his true colors is showing you?
I mean, just look look how stupid this is. Okay, so first he said he was innocent. Then he goes out before the world and then declares that he's guilty. And the followers had to come up with an excuse saying that, well, he was drugged. That's why he did it. It doesn't matter what the evidence shows. It doesn't matter what he says. They're going to always believe it because they want to believe it. So
But
that's
they
why I
get
don't try to
mad.
convince them. I show people the facts as it is. I long gave up ever trying to convince them back in what 2012 because they're not going to accept the
Nope.
reality.
That's why I don't argue with them. But they get real mad when you ask them would they drop their kids off with Kathy Johnson. But they innocent though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Cupcake said what confused me was when Uma said York gave Polite the authority to run things financially. I don't think that coincides with the Fed seizure of our assets.
Well,
Those are obvious.
like Jacob said, you know, you don't know which way, you know what I'm saying, that thing could have went, like, or who Dr. York was communicating and
Yeah.
talking to, you know.
But
Yeah,
Chuck,
because he pinned people against each other. That was the same thing that happened at the trial. You had the people who were fighting on his behalf to try to get him free, and he had pinned them against the people who was trying to polish up his public image. When his attorneys are suggesting that he focuses on trying to get himself free, he put more of an emphasis on what the public was saying. He wanted to appeal to his public image.
Yeah. But I think what she asking is those, like the Bushwick building, like everybody's saying that York gave polite control. She's trying to figure out how can that be when all York's assets were supposed to be seized. But you said that was because some of them were in other people's names, correct?
In some cases, he put it in other people's names, but ultimately he had the control of the organization. As far as Holy Tabernacle Ministries, HTM, Brooklyn was that was a part of his enterprise, and some stores in Georgia. But depending on how they wanted to do it, they could have confiscated or seized it. But as far as I know, they never did.
Okay.
The land now with the land, the land issue was real simple. York had told the Nuwaubians not to pay the attorney, so when the attorney goes up there for a hearing, there's no one there, so it was forfeited. They just gave it up. They look, whatever York said do, they did, and they didn't pay the attorneys, and that's what happened. They even what's his name, Adrian Patrick, they fired him.
Because when Ezekiel was up here, because Ezekiel worked at the Bushwick store, he said that the letters were coming in and the letters were given polite permission to work there. But I asked him, was it possible, that York was sending multiple letters out to multiple people, giving them different ideas, and then it was a big conflict. But it seemed like they was using polite for a money grab at the time in place of York, because he could draw a crowd. He was True Light, the young phenom, and all that other mess.
Yeah, he probably triple crossed them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He probably saw the long con and conned them. You know what I'm saying?
Could be. But they still hot for him. They still out here going gangbusters for Polite and York. So I don't know. Well, but I know he didn't have no direct contact with York, especially not after prison.
Definitely not.
I'm thinking maybe one of those Nuwaubians that does or did have contact, maybe they were an intermediary or something.
Yeah, because you had to be on the mailing list. Okay. Now his privileges got taken away from him when Dusa, which they call what you call him, Dusa York, we know him as Damon Pryor or Basil. They went and are you ready for this? They went and tried to break York out. They took a crew of people. This is a few years ago, and they said that he was I have to pull it up. Then he was a sovereign, and he was illegally kidnapped, and they wanted their chief, and they came, but they would, of course, they were arrested. But York's is there's a level that you're on it in the prison that it became elevated as a result of that, and so his writing privileges got taken away from him. I mean, everybody knew about that. That was crazy. They went down there to try to break York out and saying that he was their ambassador, and they wanted to have their property returned to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'll send it to you as soon as I pull it up.
Okay. Cupcake said she saw an overview of the asset seizure, but it was years ago. Do you happen to have a copy of that? Because I know you got copies of some stuff.
I can't think of it at the moment. What was exactly seized? I would have to go and look at it. Um, yeah, I would have to pull it up.
Go ahead. Nandy
Hey,
says, why did you remain a member of the cult years after York was convicted?
Well, because I was talking to him and I hadn't studied the case, and so I figured, as far as I knew, all my interactions with him was always cool. And plus, I was living in Baltimore at the time, so I was still running my store.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still with the organization up until about 2011. When I left DC and came here, I gave up all my books and all the other stuff except for like the Bible stuff, because I figured I'd be down here arguing with people over the Bible. So that was it. So it wasn't until around 2011 that um, it was suggested that I study the case, because I started coming out and asking them questions about doctrine. Then they started going after me, saying that I was disgruntled and I had an axe to grind and all the stuff. And then I became, quote, a slanderer. And so they started going after me. And so then a brother who worked on the case said, here, say they go after you, go harder on him. And then, I said, fuck it, I'm gonna go ahead and read the stuff. And when I was reading the first one, I think it was the one with Habiba, and all them details about what he was doing, that opened it up for me. And I started taking bits and pieces and putting it online. Yep. And that changed the game. That beat them all back, because it had not been done, because everything about the case up until that point was based on what York taught. Whatever York said, because they had the Isle of Patmos CDs, and then you had the Nawapians Facts website. So they was controlling the, quote, narrative. And it wasn't until, because I don't like being talking about myself, but, when I would be in Facebook groups and arguing with these people, then I would just pull up, one of the portions from the trial notes at the time, until I read that, yeah, they unsealed the transcripts back in 06. So, oh, well, shit. Now I can really start going in on it. But they knew that too, and they chose not to put them out. They chose not to publicize them and none of that stuff. They just kept going with the narrative that York control, which is that they purposely kept it under seal so nobody could know what was really being said at the trial. But now we see that's some bullshit.
Yeah, those transcripts was damning. You know what I mean? When you read
You
them
ain't
on
seen
air,
nothing. Shit.
Yeah.
You gotta
that,
read it all.
that'll change anybody's mind about that whole thing. Because
Just like
no, go ahead.
no. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, but
No. I mean, like I said, when I first heard about the story, like when I was first introduced to his story, Dr. York, through people in the conscious community around about 2010, I heard some of the same things about like he was being persecuted because he was a black leader. He was trying to do all this good. I never was a Nuwapian or follower, but I've come across people who were, and it wasn't until I started talking to some of the certified members in confidence in some of the things they were saying about how their belief systems when it comes to children. You know what I mean? I said, man, I've just said it had to be true. Like when they was talking about that golden child type stuff. I've heard a woman say something like that. So I was, it took me back. And then when I started researching for myself and saw the videos of him admitting that at court that he did these things, I was like, hey, I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a big fan of Mia Abdul Jamal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in his story, and I hope that he be free.
Yeah.
So I know as far as black people, we have a lot of political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? A big fan of Tupac, the Shakur family that's been arrested. You know what I'm saying, and persecuted. Also the woman in Cuba, I can't think of her name right now. Athena, it's not Athena, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I'm real big into that. So like I just thought it was another political prisoner, but when I saw that, I said, "Nah, this dude, and his followers and philosophy." I said, "Nah, this guy is guilty of sin." And,
listen. Even just like I was saying to somebody else, that look, okay, if he molested just one child, that's bad enough. And so when the Nuwapians go out and they push this thing at, well, there was no DNA. Number one, the case was centered around what took place back in 2000. I'm sorry, 1996, 7 on up. It wasn't centered around 2001 for the most part. Now, when the trial was taking place, they had an expert. They had several expert um, witnesses testify, meaning that these people who specialize in various fields of academia or in medicine, genetics, etc. So the issue about paternity came up. Okay, so you had two of the listed victims that testified, and one of the pieces of evidence that came out is from the expert testimony was the DNA matching the paternity, meaning that York fathered um, children, or in this case, at least with the trial, there was a girl, there was a woman who had a child at age 14. That
Chuck, I
was
hate to cut you off, but let me
Mhm.
ask you a question.
Yeah.
When is the last time you was on Sinetta show?
The last time,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years ago, I think.
Okay, so you asking him why he was on side. Is he psychic now? Don't
Who
come
said
over
that?
here with that. We don't disrespect the guest over here, please.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
For
What?
sure.
I'm
That
not
says
even.
that.
She
What
gonna
happened?
ask him why did he go on Sinetta show and Sinetta support polite having sex with that 14-year-old
What
girl.
the fuck?
That's what I'm
What the
saying.
fuck?
Is he psychic now? Can he see into the future?
Man,
You over here
you-
trying to be funny and you finna get kicked out if you ain't got no real question.
man, don't get me on my asshole
Yeah.
mode, man. I ain't trying to go there, but
Man.
for real, motherfucker, I go on anybody's show that's willing to listen and I get this shit out there. If dumb motherfuckers would just wake up and not be kowtowing and licking up on pedophile protectors, then my job would be much easier. So yeah, I go to anybody. And when a motherfucker say, "Well, how
I,
you going on this person's show and that person's show?" Because they got a ear and they got a platform there. Because some people, even if it's two people listening, I'm gonna kick it.
I
All that
obviously,
shit later, I don't know nothing about that.
yeah, obviously
You
they've
can
been
jump
on the
up to
show.
a
They
new.
know you was there, so they was there. Hell, so now, and
I don't know what. Man, get the fuck out of
I'm
here talking
sorry,
that bullshit.
Cupcake. I skipped your question, but I had to.
my
She
bad.
said,
Yeah,
"Is it true that the feds reduced the number of actual abuse charges because they were
yeah. I
afraid
was trying to.
that the
That
outrageous
was now
Yeah,
that was the crazy thing because they had
yeah,
so
yeah,
much
yeah.
shit. And then just like what Jacob was pointing out, Ali was scheduled to testify. Ali is the father of many of the kids in that family that got molested. Ali is his name is Bruce LaRoche. That's York's right hand man. When you look at, I think the brother sent you, Tasha, the
Mhm.
um, the um, pre-sentencing guy, pre-sentencing investigating report when it talked about when York had falsified documents. He got arrested for falsifying a passport, having a fake passport, and trying to get a fake name, Al Mahdi. Bruce LaRoche, when they were in the precinct, York took York tried to run out, and Bruce Ali tried to stop the police from catching him by jumping in front of them. That was his right hand man, and so his right hand man's kids was getting molested by York, and he was scheduled to
Man.
testify. But
Are
they
you
had so much.
kidding
I mean, they had enough. They had enough to lock him in. The same thing that R. Kelly got hit for today. They got York on the Mann Act and the racketeering, the transporting of minors. Yeah, all of that. That running an illegal enterprise, living lavishly while the followers live in abject poverty. Got him. He
Chuck?
used that.
Say,
It's no problem. Just look, hold
Who
on,
that?
hold on, hold on. I got something to say real quick. Look, you
Mhm.
might
oh,
be
see.
new over here. When we have panelists on, look, these are ex-cult members.
Yeah.
They ain't got to come out, and y'all asking them snarky little questions don't help matters none. I like talking to Chuck. I like talking to Tar Noonan. I like talking to these people. So if you don't, there is plenty of other channels on YouTube. I don't mean no harm, but that's just the way it is over here. That's why it's called the Treehouse. See, if it was called the Madhouse, I could see coming over here like that. But you didn't even say hey in the chat. Over here we family over here. Chuck been coming over here for years. You ain't finna run my Chuck off. Chuck is the black example of Chuck Norris. New Orleans
I like Bruce better.
We usually call him the avenging angel, but for the night he is Chuck Norris.
Okay.
Sis, can I ask a few questions?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you, Chuck?
All is well. Everything is good. Who this?
This is Sister 90.
Hey, Nanny, how you doing?
I'm good.
Solid.
Several questions I wanted to ask.
Cool.
There was some information put out, and I think that Jacob verified this about the fraud. I wanted to ask, what fraud was Jacob actually involved in? And I also have another question. Was there the document for him to plead under the state charges, did that include any of the land having to be relinquished when he took that particular state plea? I saw some things out in the media about that, and even in some court documents, but I want to better understand what I was reading.
All right, cool. What's the first one? Can you repeat the first one?
The first question was, Jacob admitted over on Morris World TV that he actually committed fraud for his father. He said he was involved in certain things. He admitted to committing fraud for Malachi Z. York.
Okay.
So I wanted to know if you were aware of what fraud and when did that take place? And
honestly,
I'm sorry.
That I don't know. I don't know what level of fraud or what it constituted as. I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna ask him because I want to know now that you mentioned it.
The next question with the state plea. Was it something in those documents where if he took a plea, he also would have to give up his land or the property, or was that some inaccurate information?
Yeah, I think that's inaccurate because everything that I saw regarding that never was having to relinquish land was mentioned in any of those documents.
Have you ever actually seen the document that was filed in the courts after he accepted the plea bargain with the state?
I've seen some when I was looking in the Pacer, in the Pacer account, you can see the different motions that were submitted, but a lot of it I don't remember right now.
Okay, I got two more questions. Yeah. Was there any discrepancies or any foul play with the grand jury in this case when they were trying to indict York? And also, with you and Brother Anpu, what made you all, like I said, continue to fight the case, and were either one of you aware of the allegations that was made before York's arrest?
Okay, but let me answer the last part. Now, Anpu was working with them as his advisor. He was working intimately with the case. I wasn't. I ain't had nothing to do with it. I was just another member who just happened to have talk radio. I didn't get into the case until way later on. No thanks. Way later on. And so I was just
months, years. Like, when did you really become involved?
Oh, around 2011. That's when I started reading up on the documents and the minutes and the motions and the stuff. Because prior to that, I hadn't even touched the case. All I heard was that they said he had molested some kids. And I was like, with all them wives he had, I don't believe it. And so I ran with that.
Okay. I wrote questions down. I got another question. There was a lot of videos circulating in reference to, because I've been studying this case since we was on Garfield, remember? So I've really been watching a lot of stuff, and I see things that was up there.
Right.
There was somebody saying that York never took back his guilty plea. But there's documented evidence in the case, and I'm looking for my stuff now so I can pull up everything that I found on Pacer stating that he did withdraw the plea. And then I have one other question that goes into that.
Before you go there, let me get to that. Let me answer that part. Okay. You're right. He did not. Well, let me put it this way. No, he didn't retract his guilty plea in the state. He was asked to do so, and I have the hearing, and I put that up on my website. And when I come back on tonight, when I get to work, I'm going to go through it and I'm gonna read it. York chose not to. York, matter of fact, he was like, I mean, his few words at the pretrial was that he is a sovereign Native American and he wants to be tried by those peers who are in his tribe. It was his attorney who requested to be able to have his guilty plea taken out.
Was it the white attorneys or was it attorney Adrian Patrick? Which one of those?
It was a Manny Aurora.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Emmanuel.
So today it still sits on what they call dead docket, that it could be brought back up at any time. Because he never retracted it.
My next question. Do you think that those white attorneys were actually involved in some kind of way with the sheriff of Putnam County? And what's the history that you know about Sheriff Seals?
I don't think that they was involved with them. I haven't seen any evidence to support it.
Do you think they kind of dropped the ball? Let me retract the question. Do you feel like those attorneys dropped the ball on certain parts of the case, including when they allowed him to go up on the stand and even testify or accept a guilty plea, knowing that he wasn't mentally in the right state of mind? Because remember on Garfield, everybody kept saying, oh, wasn't nothing wrong with York. He wasn't sedated. He wasn't going through this and going through that. But then I've heard several people, including you, stating that Jacob was correct when he was saying that York wasn't in his right mental state of mind when all of this stuff was brought to him.
Okay. Let me bring clarity and context to that by itself. Okay. When we make the point of him, and when he was brought to have a medical or a mental evaluation, they had already diagnosed him as having schizophrenic, having that schizophrenic mindset. That wasn't anything new. He was always like that. That's in his family gene. Okay, the girl who does the genetics of the family made that point clear. That's a part of their family. There's some people in the family that just a little bit kind of on the nutty side. That doesn't mean that they can't read, write, process, know right from wrong, and that kind of stuff. Now, at the day of what you see on the recorded state guilty plea, and by what people seem to try to take from that is that he didn't look good because they're used to seeing him very tailored and polished.
Oh, no. Let me say this before you go any further. I'm not talking about that recorded guilty plea. I've studied the case, every piece of document that I can find, remember, because...
Have you read the Seals transcripts?
Now, of course, you can't see the
Have you read the Seals transcripts?
Only certain people have those transcripts.
We got them.
Well, we got them. We were reading them. I put them out. I was the only one to put them out.
Okay, go ahead. That's why I'm asking questions.
Okay, so here's the thing. On that day, he testified because on behalf of his attorneys, giving him as being the best option is to throw yourself on the mercy of the court, because it'd be difficult to fight against a case where you have the sexual transmitted disease of certain members and listed victims as the defendant. So they moved to plead guilty in the state and in the federal. And that's what you have in one case where it was recorded. Now, as far as their dealings with the sheriff and all that, I don't have any knowledge of that whatsoever.
Were there 3 prior raids on that particular land for with the FBI and all of that stuff? You never seen those files where there was 3 prior raids that was on the property of York?
I have not seen any. As long as I've been a member of the Nuwaubian organization and going down to pick up products and knowing everybody and building with people, talking, if there was been 3 raids by the FBI, we would have known. I would have known.
Cupcake said that
Right.
York's current lawyer, she says she's heard that York's current lawyers are Nuwabians. Is that correct? And she said
Yes.
one woman who was a lawyer and a member claims she's the primary active lawyer. That's that lady with the blonde hair, right?
Yeah. She's one. He has several. The organization hired different people to address different, or to try to get him
Yeah.
out on different levels. One, this new thing they have is where is you get compensation, and to have you taken from maximum security to a minimum security based on your age or illness. I forget what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you hear him what you hear him today talking about. When the sister was recording him on the phone, he's speaking with attorneys. That's what they're talking about in regards to that. Then there's another bogus issue, is that he's a Liberian diplomat, and he wants to be repatriated to either Liberia or to his home in Ghana. Which, if you listen to the attorney saying that he's being lied to, whoever put those motions in is wrong. It's a lie, because that's what he specializes in. In fact, they even put up the when his attorney filed that to have him repatriated to Ghana, the ECOWAS courts had deemed it to be a frivolous case, a waste of the court's time, and there's no documentation whatsoever of York being a Ghanaian citizen or even a Liberian diplomat. And all of this talk about that came after the conviction.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to
Oh.
add something to that because Chuck, he's right about that. And I did my research on the attorney. She's still in law school.
Mm.
She's
Hey,
not an actual attorney, so I did my research on her. And I've even contacted her. I'm trying to remember the brother's name. Was it Connor Sue? I think that's his name. And I spoke to her and another guy. I'm looking for the name now. And she's still in law school. So Chuck is telling the truth about that part, that they just got so many different people filing stuff and don't really know what they're doing and acting as certain people, but
And it's
she's not
confusing. It's confusing a lot of people, and a lot of people are putting out money because they're requesting money to fund these things. And it's just a big confusion. And you can hear him even saying that he didn't know about some of the things.
Yeah, it's a Nawapian, I think live in Canada, named Chief Naya Shabu El. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
I know he was a big time sovereign citizen, and he was filing a lot of things years ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Cupcake says, has he exhausted all his appeals?
I don't know. But I heard, but that's just speculation. I don't know.
And didn't he put in, was it Obama that he put in that presidential pardon? They put in that presidential pardon request.
They put in a presidential pardon and clemency for every president since he got arrested. Even Trump.
Okay.
And in each case, because I posted it on my website, each time you see a list of people who were released or brought clemency, and his name was there, but he was denied.
Since I got two more questions and then I'm gonna mute my mic, I want to ask him about the videos with Brother Wujawu and all of the victims. Why were those videos made? And I'm saying those that supposedly recanted their stories and stuff like that. What do you think led to that? Was there some type of threats or something going on with their lives? Like, can you explain why Brother Wujawu was actually pushing this agenda to the point where he was on different shows and everything? And then on top of that, he interviewed the witnesses, and it was stated that they were recanting their story.
Right. From what I know, and all of those situations, all of that was designed to bring doubt around his guilt. Now, keep in mind, he was working with York. He was York's advisors, and York told them to do these things. And that was part of the whole witness tampering issue. Even when we were reading on the show last weekend, I think it was, where the brother who, as a Nawapian, on behalf of the organization, was to make or to get Tariq Noel to get him either on video or have it in writing on an affidavit to where that they could post it or even use it as a means to bring about a new trial or even to cast doubt. Because the video that Habiba did, Leah did, Farah, Muhammad, all of them, all that stuff was designed to help York. And whatever York said, they had to go along with it. Meaning that when he said it was Jacob York who was the one behind it all, he set it up. That was what was the talking point, and they had to go along with it because they are told that that's going to free or to help Doc.
I'm saying the victims, so the victims had to go along with it, or
No, not the victims. I'm talking in this case. I'm talking about those people who did the videos.
Were any of the people in the video that was supposedly recanted stories? Are they any of the victims?
The only one that you have in that was Habiba Washington.
She was one of the main victims, though, right?
She was one of the. She was a top. What's the word? She was a main. What's the word? Star witness. She, Sakina Parham and Nico Lopez. They were the top witnesses and victims because of their participation in the sex acts, and because they started, because what the judge made clear to the jury was that because they participated in those sex acts when they were kids, they were not to be deemed as being guilty, as being part of the cult, as not being under the influence of York at the time.
Okay, I just wanted to ask a question. Was the other two young ladies in this particular documentary or the videos that and we also seen the attorney Adrian Patrick, were all of those people also involved?
Which one? Which one?
The videos about was Dr. York really guilty? And they had videos and interviews with attorney Adrian Patrick from here in Georgia that was saying that there was a lot of things that happened with the case and was railroaded. Was Adrian Patrick hired to be his attorney? Let me ask that question first.
Yeah, I don't know who hired him, but someone did hire him. He said that he saw it on the guilty plea and that he offered his services, and they were taking anybody that would help in any way.
Okay.
And Adrian, and that was another thing. When the trial was going on and they were cross-examining Tariq, and they were talking about that meeting that they had with York's attorney, an investigator, and a couple of Nuwapians. That was another case of witness tampering because they wanted to get on record him saying that nothing happened, when initially the first meeting was that it did happen, and they tried to bribe him with baseball cards, thinking that that's going to get him to say that nothing happened.
I got one more question, and I'm gonna be done. Out of those three women, or let's just say any of the victims, the females, did any of them have a relationship with Jacob York or any children with Jacob York?
None of them had children with Jacob York. From what I read in the documents was that Jacob liked Nikki Lopez, and that was the extent of it. That they as kids, Mukmanu and Mukmanati, they interacted with each other, and she did take a likening to him.
So they weren't in a relationship after all of this stuff took place. It was Jacob in Florida? And I'm asking because these are notes and stuff. I know
what you're saying. I know all about him because I remember
Jacob in Florida. And at the time, was it not out that Jacob and Nikki had a relationship even prior to Jacob leaving the land or not dealing with the land?
Yeah.
So is that there was those things already out?
Okay. A lot of that is Nuwapian folklore.
Okay.
That's why I told you needed to go back and watch it, because we read the book off And then it's interviews with Chuck before this, and like everybody come up and ask questions, and sometimes you have ex-Nuwapians that come up and they verify stuff.
Now, since you know me, and what I'm saying is,
I know.
I do law, first of all, and Chuck, he's familiar with me. I've been on this case for years. Have I not, Chuck? We've bumped heads a couple of times.
I think we've had I think on Garfield show we had a little shouting match.
And that was years ago. So, yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, I just want her to know that I am fluent.
I like this. I love your spirit. Shit, I love it.
Chuck, Cupcake wanted to know, does York currently have a legally recognized wife?
No.
Damn.
Kathy Johnson was considered his main wife by label, but he didn't officially marry her.
Okay.
It's not on record that she was his actual wife. Here's the thing, not just her, but also what's her name? Ramesses Richardson's mother's name. I forgot her damn name. But she was very close to York as well. She could be considered his wife as well.
You came in twice, Helma.
His legal wife was Jacob's mom, right? Was he legally married to Jacob's mom?
No.
Okay.
No. He never married. His whole thing was like a Bismillah wedding type thing.
Okay.
Because as Ansars, you see a sister, they had, unless it's like one of his daughters and she's quote a virgin, and they would have a major marriage ceremony in Islam. In an Islamic wedding, not recognized in the United States as going down and having before the justice of the peace or anything like that.
Cupcake said, did anyone have to enter witness protection in the case?
No.
Okay. Maze will be up soon. He trying to put his baby to sleep. Babies.
I know some cults still do the Bible thing where they'll just write down a marriage in the Bible. Believe it or not.
Yeah. We attended. There was a big wedding where one of York's daughters got married up in Brooklyn. Real big thing. It was sold as like a Sudanese type marriage because she being his daughter was marrying some brother from Sudan. And it was billed as the East meets the West, that kind of thing. Because he had been trying desperately to try to link himself into the family of the Sudanese, particularly with the Mahdi, by when Sayyid Sadiq, the then prime minister, came to Brooklyn and came down and met with York and, just had like a celebration day. That was when he was pushing the whole thing and saying that was his cousin. But Sadiq never co-signed that ever. And that was one of the things Bilal Phillips pointed out in his book, that York was exploiting anyone that came near him, especially if they were from Sudan. So York promoted the Ansars and did visit Sayyid Sadiq at the Royal Palace in Sudan twice. And this is something I just recently posted up where individuals saw that he didn't know what he was talking about in Islam, and they figured that he was something of a phony. So that's something else that was pointed out. And when it was unified that the Sudanese didn't want to have anything to do with him, York just said that they cut him off because he had abandoned Islam. So
okay. Sis, can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw the situation. I think that they narrowed it down. I think to, and don't quote me on this because I might be wrong. I think it was like 8 kids. Let me ask you a question though. With the herpes simplex 1 and 2, right? Were there any allegations before York's arrest that other members in the cult had herpes 1 or 2, and were any of the wives or the children that was birthed by Dr. York, have any of them been identified as having, either type of the herpes 1 or 2?
I don't know.
Okay. So when you said that, I remember you telling me, you said that some of them had herpes, I think simplex 1, simplex 2.
The listed victims.
Yeah, the listed victims, and some had 1. So those that had 1 and didn't identify with the same disease as York did, how do you think that was contracted?
I don't know.
Okay.
But didn't they trace more than one disease back to York? Wasn't it herpes and chlamydia?
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah,
herpes simplex, herpes simplex 2, and
I think it was
chlamydia.
anal chlamydia.
Yeah,
Because when
yeah,
we was
anal
reading
chlamydia.
it, it was like, what
Because
is that?
because at the trial that was something that was brought up as well. I think I don't want to mention her name, but one of the girls, 2 of the girls, had showed signs of having a pulverized anus, and they in the pre-trial. I'm sorry, in
Hold up,
the
you said a
pre
pulverized anus?
Yeah,
pulverized.
that's a take back right there.
Damn,
Whoa,
damn.
Jesus.
I don't even want to
My
Google it. I don't even
God.
want to know. I don't want to know.
Yeah, it
I
sounds
don't even
what
know.
it said. Um, that was brought up, and the victim identified York as the person who was responsible for it. That and her throat showing anal scarring. That's what they called it.
Was there any DNA in those cases? I'm just asking that so I can.
Yeah, you can ask anything. I'm good with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, the DNA that was brought up in regards to those cases was identifying paternity with minors, because by the time that the events that took place back in upstate New York, DNA was long gone, and even in those cases, depending on the time frame, the DNA could be lost.
So did they have any DNA when he was convicted?
I have a question for Chuck,
Yeah,
please.
they did.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I was
and
looking for.
that was at the trial when minors who had children with York were identified.
Great. Okay, Chuck, I appreciate it because that clears up questions that I had. I'm gonna mute my mic because I know I've been asking a lot of questions and listening to everybody else. Thank you.
Anytime, Cincinnati.
Okay, Cupcake said outside of the U.S., what country was York able to amass the most followers in? Talk to text me.
I would be guessing. I would be guessing. What I do know is he had a big following in the Caribbean and in particularly London.
And
Because
Prime
when he went on tour as Dr. York, he spent a lot of time in London.
Prime, was it you that had a question?
Oh no. I know he had a group of followers that were in Canada also. The group that I
he
ran
had one
into.
in Canada. But I think the biggest one would probably be scattered around, probably in the UK, because that's the biggest land.
UK. And in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, he had a big following. In fact, he even visited them in 1973 to help spearhead their community down there.
Yeah, the guy I know, he was Trinidadian. The group I know, most of them were Trinidadian. They were in Canada. Yeah,
yep. A lot of guys in down in that area, they're familiar with them, and they're still strong even to today.
Didn't somebody else have a question? I know I heard somebody.
Yeah. This is Drop the Hammer. Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Chuck, are you familiar with the Hebrew Israelites, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What affiliations did Dr. York have with the Hebrew Israelites? Especially the ones. Are you familiar with the One West Hebrew Israelites? You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay. Did Dr. York have close affiliations with them?
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. ISUPK, the Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge, they became like an irritant to him. So from time to time, they would appear at the classes at Hart Street, and he would argue them, and they would have their little showdowns here and there.
Okay.
And then he would ultimately he released a book because when Sakina, um, when she was having problems with him because they were starting to come to the classes, in Brooklyn, he decided because he had already released a 4 series called 360 Questions to Ask the Hebrew Israelites, but there were no books on the Israeli church. So he put out a book, part 1, 360 Questions to Ask the Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge. And you'll get to see, he goes into the history and the origins and the guys who set up One West and all that. That's what that whole network and that publication was centered around, debunking them. And we were and during that time, that was when I was getting popular on the radio thing, and so I would call into their programs when I lived in Baltimore, and we would go at it head to head. you know just I was basing it coming from the books that he was telling us to use against them, because the Hebrew Israelite book, Ben Ami's people, they were so peaceful and passive. We never had problems out of them. Matter of fact, we would go down and patronize them all the time.
Yeah.
So Chuck,
Ben Ami wasn't argumentative. He was not that type of leader. He wasn't at all.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay, thank you,
Yahweh
Chucky.
Ben Yahweh, on the other hand, now we had problems.
That's a whole different subject right now.
He brought up the Hebrew Israelites.
That's gangster.
Since he brought up the Hebrew Israelites, you got to tell the story about when y'all went down to Miami.
I know, right?
I don't know why that tickled me.
And look, I didn't know anything about this. We were in Opelika, Florida. We were in the capital, and we would see them. Well, not the capital, but that was where they had a headquarters, and we would see them. And I thought they would. I knew they weren't Ansars because they had short sleeves, and we didn't have short sleeves. And they did have turbans, but it wasn't wrapped like a Sudanese emma, the white head wrap. So we would, have words, but it was always cordial. And it was the people in that part of that part of Opelika, we had a lot of people from Haiti. And we was trying to sell oils and incense, and they thought we was trying to, cast some kind of spell on them or something. And they would throw rocks at us. We would get on this thing called a jipney. A jipney is like a van, like a taxi, but you pay $1 to get on, and it takes you all the way across town. And now in retrospect, realizing the murders that was going on down there under Yahweh, we could have been killed off easily, because we was right down the street from him. And then the brother who kicked the sister out in the street, who was an Ansar, because she didn't want to, she got into an argument with the brother's wife. The Yahwehs took her in, and she was all praising them, saying that Dr. York didn't help me out. Yahweh Ben Yahweh helped me out. So we had problems, but it wasn't anything that was like really negative. It was more problems coming from the people thinking that we were them.
Oh, okay.
And then when he got arrested,
I think that was that night Khalil Amani was on.
Oh yeah, Khalil was down there too.
Yeah, because he was a Yahweh Ben Yahweh member. But remember that story he told about they got into the fight with them Wapians on the corner?
I remember talking about
they
that.
They tried to take over his court. They tried to take over his corner.
Yeah, they had no problem with taking over and strong arming people, ripping tables off, throwing them in the street. Yeah,
I remember as a kid, the drug dealers wouldn't even mess with them. I'm from Florida.
Yeah.
I met a lot of those Yahweh Ben Yahweh members. They used to walk freely through the hood, and that was the only group I remember.
Yeah.
Other than the Nation of Islam later on coming out around about 89. I was like in 84. I was 4 years old, so I remember the Yahweh Ben Yahweh people, and they had free reign to walk through the hood. Nobody bothered them.
Yeah. And you remember when them guys would coming up dead, and white dudes getting their ear cut off.
Yeah.
So we weren't really concerned about it. At least it didn't show. We were just in our little community doing our thing. It was only like 3 of us from DC, and it was a couple of dudes from down in Florida that moved in. Okay. And we weren't really known because we didn't have our store wasn't established. It was just like a building. And it wasn't until, because I was doing the carpentry work. So when I put up the Nubian Islamic Hebrew and the 6-pointed star crescent and put that up, that's when people started knowing we were not the Yahwehs.
Nandy, you got any more questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Chuck, what connections, if any, did Dr. York have with like African Bambaataa, the Zulu Nation, Jacob York in the music industry? What were there any connections with that?
For real, an extensive, in-depth analysis of that is on Leah's channel with her what is it? The Zulu Nation and the first hip hop, the gay hip hop, something like that.
Yeah.
You can watch all the interviews with that, and when Daddy O introduced Africa Bambaataa to Dr. York and all of that, it's in great detail there from the
Yeah,
people
I'm
who.
just asking like for your.
But they did have it. Yeah, they did have it.
Because
When
you
they
know,
came,
with the
yeah,
pedophilia and all the stuff that's coming out by Bambaataa and Malachi Z. York and all the different people, I'm just saying, like, do you think that they was pushing that crap together back then when they had their affiliations? That's what
at this point, I always wonder about that. At this point, I wonder about that, but who knows?
Real
but
Aaron
at the time, it was
mentored Bambaataa.
What you say, sis?
Aaron in the chat, he said York mentored Bambaataa.
Wow. I see. I didn't know that. That's why I'm asking. Wow, really?
I don't know about I mean, you got to be direct when you say mentor, because it could send you in the wrong direction. He was they were affiliated because the Nubian nation was a conglomeration of the Zulu nation and the Nubians, or the instead of saying Nubian Islamic Hebrews, it would just be called the Nubian nation, and then they kind of merged together, the African Bambaataa Zulu nation, and formed that's when you see the guys wearing the jackets on the back saying the Zulu nation and the Nubian nation with all of that stuff. So it was all during that period, around 88, 89. And then York started releasing audios talking about the Nubian nation and their affiliation with Africa Bambaataa. And the public image was that he heard that Marvin Gaye was able to reach more people with the What's Going On album than any imam did doing his khutbah on a Friday. So he decided to get into the music industry and aligning himself with different artists so that he could groom them to educate and talk about messages or information that would be more pertinent to now times and how we're facing a situation that we need to put emphasis on, and we're going to do it through music. That's what he was saying in a lot of his lectures.
And that's right. That's what I was going to ask you, because I heard a lot of the rappers always referencing York or saying certain things, about the organization. I seen some of them kind of repping the attire,
Yep.
That's why I was asking that. Okay.
Yep.
Aaron, that's a tenuous
Queen Latifah, Kwame, Dougie Fresh. Remember Dougie Fresh? He was a staunch Nubian Nation. You got plenty of it. Not to mention Jimmy Cliff.
Yep.
Mfume. What's that? James Ingram. He was like the most outstanding Nuwapian in the industry at the time.
Wow, I didn't know about James Ingram.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Breaking news,
yeah. James, listen.
All the time.
When I get back on tonight, I'm gonna show you all the pictures of James Ingram.
Yeah,
I mean him with the ancient Egyptian. I started at 10:45, so I don't know what time that is.
What is that my time?
Right now, it's 9:01 now.
Okay, yeah. So this ain't but an hour long. So
if not, we can do it another time. It don't matter.
But you know what Uda told us, we can't go over 5 hours, so we can clip them up.
Oh yeah. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna do that.
Questions in order here, so I'm gonna use your name on the playlist title, but only because it adds context. Because remember, family, we always need context. Because people said they don't get the context. But yeah, I'm gonna chop up the questions Vlad style and put them on a playlist, so it'll be easier to digest for people that ain't got the time or whatever.
Yeah,
they can just run the playlist and ain't got to worry about the extras, because we do a lot of extra over here.
What happened to C-Tep?
Drop the hammer?
No, C-Tep. I know him as
sleep. Maze. He's still trying to put the babies to sleep.
Oh, okay, because I'm about to roll out.
Dropped off somewhere, but Oh,
Well, look, like I said, if you're still on, I'm gonna come back.
yeah, you saying you coming back, we still gonna be on. You already know
Oh,
how
whatever
this
you
works.
gonna do. All right, well, cool. Then I just tiptoe in, and then I make sure I got all my pictures because I think I'm gonna show sister because not just ain't man. Look, listen.
Hey, Inky,
Jackie Wilson's sister, Nancy Wilson.
yo,
He got pictures with her in York.
Why you
He
jump
goes
on?
that far back.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Russell
someone asked a
Simmons.
question.
okay,
Like,
all right.
Chuck, you got the question here in the chat.
And we got
It said,
Inky in the chat. If you want to come up and ask a question, you're more than welcome. It says, "Isn't KRS-One influenced by the zoo?" Ain't
I was just finna ask
KRS-One
that.
like?
Who asked that question? Because I was sure finna ask them that by KRS-One. And do they think he was molested or went through some issues with Bam Bada? Damn, since you in my head.
That's Aaron in your head. I'm reading from the chat.
Wow.
Oh, Cupcake
I don't
saying,
know.
"Is York known to have ever been affiliated with a cult before he became a cult leader himself?"
Not that I'm aware of, because he just after getting released from jail, he started his own hustle in the Islamic thing.
I was just finna ask you, wasn't he a Muslim?
Mm-hmm.
That was
And
the first. That was the first manifestation of York.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
The Ansar Allah community.
Yeah, well, it was Ansar Pure Sufi,
Oh,
and that
Wow.
put him that was like he was more of a spiritual Islamic group.
okay. So can you list them in order for me, please?
If I remember, in 1968, because that's when he got paroled. When he was off parole in '68, so it was Ansar Pure Sufi. Around 1970, it was officially the Ansarullah Community. The name had a sidebar, which was Nubian Islamic Hebrews. Around 1990, it became the Nubian Hebrews, and then Holy Tabernacle Ministries. Then it became abbreviated as HTM, Heliopolis, Thebes, Memphis, and that culminated into the ancient Egyptian order. It had splinter groups. You had the Holy See Baptist Synagogue. You had the Nubian nation, the Nuwabian nation of Moors. You had the holy. I'm sorry. You had the wait a minute. You had the Egyptian Church of Christ Incorporated. And then it just parlayed into the Nuwapians with the P, and now they refer to themselves as Sabians.
So he done been through all the cults.
Girl, I told you he got
Moors and everything. The Christian, right?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that organization had that many names. That shit is
It went
crazy.
on for what, 35 years?
If you listen to the audio, Why We Used Islam, he openly admits that the name change was designed to take the pressure and the attention off. Because he said that the dumbest religion that he can hide up under was Islam.
What the hell? Really?
Why We Used Islam. Check it out.
I'm going to watch that. I never seen it. What's the title of the video again?
It's the title. It's on YouTube. It's Why We Use Islam by Malachi Z. York.
Oh yeah, I'm taking notes. I never seen it. I'm going to definitely.
Chuck's got a channel called nuwapianism.com. You can see it on his avatar.
Oh, just go to the Chuck Morgan
that's his Chuck
YouTube
Morgan
channel.
Nuwapian Hunter avatar.
We have the audio there because just before his arrest, he had started pushing the whole Christianity thing back on Tamaray and started denouncing all the stuff that he previously taught about ancient Egypt as being anything more than just another African cult, but that Jesus Christ and accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior was the way to go, and there was nothing wrong with it. You should, because Jesus talked to my heart. He reached me. And then they took the Om sound that was coming out of the Black Pyramid and put up chants of Jesus. And then the music, everything was all about Christianity at the time. That was when he put together this Christian choir.
Yeah, he off the chain.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you the pics.
I've heard some of those, I heard some of those tapes with him being like
Yeah.
a Christian pastor.
Oh, Nandy Tarnoonan in the chat. I think he finna drop the link for the one you looking for. He said the York class. He said why he used Islam. The first 12 minutes is what you want.
Great.
Yeah, but Chuck, we was talking about theosophy,
Mhm.
and like I mentioned in one show that he was like the black theosophist, the black
Yeah.
Aleister Crowley,
Yep. Yep.
and I don't think a lot of
Wait a
people.
minute, Brad Alistair Crowley. That's what you said, bro.
Yeah,
Yes.
What
yeah,
the hell? Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. Go ahead. I'm just
yeah.
like,
Well, that's where he get the non-ether from. You start
You
talking
must
about.
not know one of Crowley's main tenets. He says the purest form of power you can get is from a pure, unspoiled boy child around the age of 4.
yeah,
Sound
I know
familiar?
about that, but I didn't know York was over here repping that stuff. A black Alistair Crowley. What the hell?
They might not say it, but they found
Well, like
one Alistair
theosophy.
Crowley and Blavatsky in them books that York used to have sent to him, Chuck.
Yep. Remember,
I didn't know that because I've never read none of his books.
but
Yeah,
Wow.
he took their logo. He took the
Mhm.
Blavatsky's Theosophy logo and just it was he took the symbol and he just kind of modernized it instead of it being like the tail. You know, I forget what they call it, that infinity tail where you see on this Theosophy's logo, you have the Ankh and the six-pointed star and the snake eating its tail. So
Yeah.
York took the tail and made it into a crescent. He kept the six-pointed star and kept the Ankh. Because remember, York said in the book Secret Societies Unmasked that the Ankh represented Lucifer.
Mm.
I'm gonna put myself on mute for a second. 2, 3 minutes.
yeah,
What the
Y'all
hell?
already
I'm
know
on
what
the
to make
damn
for you.
floor over here.
Cause for the cause.
yeah. And that's what a lot of people like. See, if you understand theosophy, then you can understand a lot of the black cults that's out here because a lot of guys just remixing
Yeah,
theosophy knowledge,
true.
and
That's true.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Mhm.
And like with the Dr. York stuff, like when theosophy, you supposed to learn all religions. Like you study a whole bunch of religions, and that could kind of make sense of why he went through different schools.
Yeah.
So
You
is
know, from
that why he was called? So is this the thing that they was talking about? I'm asking both of y'all brothers because that he was trying to open a religious theme park. Like, is that what they were calling it? And he was
It
gonna have
was
all these different religions out there.
no, because Tamaray had all these Egyptian edifices that was erected. He wanted to have it on paper with the zoning commission as being an Egyptian theme park.
Oh,
So when
okay.
people come to visit, it's like they get a tour, which they did. People came up and they at times people would give them tours and take them around to the different sites of this Egyptian god, that with this one, that, and like the Olmec head, and take them down to the entrance to the Mugaraj ceremonial site, that black pyramid. It would just
Yeah,
take
I
them around
saw
the different
all
sites.
of that. That was a lot of damn work. I seen all of that stuff out there. Who all did that? Was it the members or he had somebody
Well,
come in and
the
construct?
pyramids were built by of course, the construction company, the same one that built the pyramid in Eatonton for
Okay.
for a 21st century law firm. And then once it was completed, then the members would start to color it, decorate it, and give it that ancient look. And then take some plaster, and they would mold in different ceremonial sites. So the little smaller sites was done by members, and the artwork was done by members. But those major projects, that was done by the construction company, the white boys.
I got one more question. What was Wujaru's role? Like, why? That's what I'm saying. Like, he was on the land, or did he,
Well,
kind of have an idea of
I
what was
remember
going on when he was trying to help York?
my
Or
first dealings with him was when he was coming around to the classes in DC. The brother that was in charge from DC, Mentu Hotep or Sadiq, because Wajaru lived in DC as well. So, different people were coming around from time to time. And as you come around and you study and you come to classes and be a part of, because it was always encouraged that you become a part of the organization in hopes that you'll literally move inside and become working from within. And he came around, and for years he was you know like all of us, including myself, we started becoming part of it. And then he started filming the classes because we needed somebody to record the classes so we can keep sending it down to Georgia or upstate at the time, and then eventually down south. And you had another guy, Tim. So you had different people who were doing the classes. And occasionally we would have guys doing, because York wanted us to share in doing the classes. So other guys would do, from what their level of study was, they started doing classes. So eventually Rick or Wajawa was, sent down to Georgia. It was Rick, Tim, and a couple other people. I didn't want to go. I just didn't. Because I have a certain. I like to eat. And I had all heard, because by the time Mentu Hotep and them was living down there, I see that he was a real fat dude, with a thick neck. And by the time we would see him from time to time, he started getting skinnier and skinnier. Even when I was down there, I see Wajar was all skinny, with bony arms, and these guys was just looking anorexic, and I didn't want to be. I just didn't want to. I was, so I got the label from him as not being totally down with the master, because he told me that I should move down. So I talked to him, and he was like, "Don't worry about that. Get your radio show going." And that was the thing that he wanted, because he could use my show in the North as a speaking tool whenever he needed to get his message across. So if he were having problems with the sheriff, I would contact the guys at the NAACP in Baltimore, Julian Bond. We would go to Julian Bond's office and try to get them to, speak out about the injustices that's going on down in Georgia with the sheriff. But Julian was like, that's a powder keg about to explode. We don't want to have anything to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Fun
the sheriff Stevens was a wretched ass cracker, and they had in Putnam County, it's damn near flooded with KKK members and all kind of racist ass people. So
no doubt
that place was flooded with that. They didn't like the idea when it first came down there. And I just got one last question about Wujaba. Was he related to any of the people that was involved in the case or any of the victims?
He was not related to any of the victims, no.
But was he related?
He had his brother-in-law was Dr. Thompson, which was one of York's physicians.
Okay.
Fun treehouse fact for the night: Anton LaVey actually started the Church of Satan as an offshoot of the Other Light, brought to you by the real Aaron Collins, who prompted that fun fact from coming up. And then Aaron says, "Is Tamaray even still standing under the feds take it over?"
No, it's a what do you call this? It's a plantation, like hunting lodge type thing.
When they say plantation in Georgia like that, it's just a strip of land that they let go wild, and they have somebody monitor it, and it be all kind of animals on them.
Okay. No, it's not animals. It's like a hunting lodge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll have a hunting lodge on there, but basically don't nobody be on there unless they hunting.
Probably.
That's what they use them. I'm from down in that area. That's what they use them.
I'll send you some pictures and you can see what it looks like today. Yeah.
Like I saw this big ass. I don't know. This thing looked like it came straight out of Jurassic Park. It had been flooding. When I was going to Tallahassee, and there was a big old turtle, and I swear that thing stood as tall as my car, and it was just standing on the side of the road. And I was
where was this?
This was in This was going to Tallahassee, Florida, like where Georgia and Florida meet down there.
Yeah.
By Coon Bottom and stuff. Not by Coon Bottom, by the other way. I always forget the name of that place. It's unincorporated. But right where the border is, it's a big old plantation out there. Don't nobody. They got the warden that drive around, because one of my old neighbors' baby daddies work out there. He been working out there since forever. But they have them out there they keep the property up and everything. And then when they go out there hunting, they go out there hunting. But they have other stuff out there. But don't nobody mess around out there like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of wildlife out there. I know it's a lot of forest down there. That's what you're talking about. That forest.
Yeah, and it's swampland in Georgia. If you didn't know.
Yeah. That was they was doing hunting up in upstate New York, but that's all. That was and then another element that hadn't been really touched yet was the mujahad that York had organized, which was something that Jacob touched on earlier, or Uma touched on, was that, you know, watching people get beat up. That was a little terrorist organization within the cult, and it wasn't like York didn't know. Of course, he knew. He was part of it. He
They did the
set up.
same thing
Them guys would
in
beat up.
Jim
If
Jones
you
Code.
in New York, if you didn't turn in a certain amount of money, you got beat up bad. Bad. I sat in one of them where this dude from Newport News, I guess he was messing with a dude's girl or something, and they beat him up in front of the congregation.
And they want to act like this stuff never happened.
Nah, everybody knew about it, but a lot of people were in fear because York had power, man. York could get you hurt.
But that's
And
the
that was
same thing with Jim Jones. He used to have those closed room sessions and have people in there spanking each other with planks of wood and people stripping down and they doing all kind of crazy mess.
All these cults like that. It's the same thing with the Muslims.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, it seems like all of the cults that's affiliate, they have the same type of organization, you know, organizational structure.
They must read the same books because they all come out the same way.
Yeah, they get to beating grown men. Like grown men literally get beat. You know what I'm saying?
How the fuck
With
you gonna
belts.
let it?
Yeah.
I mean, it never happened to me. You know, I mean, my brother was involved in some stuff because, you know, during the 80s, you know, you had that drug thing going on. You had Alpo and them later coming to town. You had, you know, Wayne. I knew all them guys because, you know, I lived in Southeast, so all the gangsters was out there. So my thing was, you know, if anything like that had happened to me, I ain't gonna let no more beat me up and take my money like that. And, you know, you just make a phone call and, you know, I'm surprised that nobody ever killed off Ansars. Some of the stuff they did to people, especially in places like New York. You had all the hustlers and somebody beat up your cousin and nobody do nothing.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that maybe most of them was already had a hand in all of this stuff? And why do you think, Chuck, mentally after being in there with all of these different individuals, why do you think that they even join these cults? Like, why are they participating in this, from the women to the men?
I think that because that was an excellent place to hide.
Great answer.
Because once you join, your name, you don't go by your government name. You go by Abdul so and so, sister, whatever. You don't go by your name. Now, some of the dudes I knew, they had they were AWOL from the military.
Oh.
You know, they were on child support, and they was way back, and they was like, I ain't got to worry about that. I'm so and so. They don't know me by that up in here, and they dedicate their life to it, no matter the lies that they saw. Cause I knew one brother. I was like, I'm saying mental. I said, dude, just stay up literally all night long studying, and I knew dude was sharp, but I was like, well, damn. By now, all that you study, you don't see, and you still with this shit. He's still running the store, I think, in Detroit.
To this day.
Yep. He's still running that store in Detroit. Yep. Mental Hotel.
Yeah. I still ain't seen Earl running around. Has he retired from his terrorization campaign? His internet terrorization campaign? I've been looking for Earl. We miss you. Just like we miss George.
You kill me saying them damn names, girl. When you be out of Eugene, I be on the floor. Lord, I'm talking about shit.
No. Did you see the new avatar somebody made for me? Hold on.
I saw that. That shit was funny.
Hold on. Let me move back.
Chuck, I got another question. I've been had this on my brain since
what's up?
Look, Nandy.
No, I know. Oh hell no!
No, they sent me two. Here go the other one.
I'm sick of you. The treehouse gonna have everybody in it in a minute.
That's what it's for, because we be over here swinging.
Carve some more spaces and get some more stairs, boo.
That's why it's a virtual treehouse. It expands as needed, hunted.
But you're in one community, y'all.
This how I was looking tonight, watching that interview.
I give it to y'all. You're in one community, Uda, and all y'all been on this information, and I commend y'all for that. Y'all been staying on.
I cannot stand when people put out false information. It'd be like, you can see it right here. It's not the truth. And you sitting up here yelling, and they just egging you. And they like, oh, but this and that and the other. And it's like, dude, it's right here. We've been saying the same thing. Y'all been calling us haters and everything else. Now he done took the fucked up steal of a screenshot. Like, I can't just show my face on camera and show I don't look like that. That's really dumb, Bill Bay. But that's another topic. We ain't talking about that tonight because I'm done with him. He's dead to me. I don't know who that is, just like he doesn't know who I am. Tito, you ain't got to worry about me. You keep right on, and them new wappies gonna be knocking on your door, Playboy.
Okay, so before I forget my questions. Malik Zulu Shabazz. It was told or rumored that the Nuwabians gave him close to $1 million to represent York, and with the NBPP after college, let's talk about after college, Sanita, because that's what I call them, Sanita and Whole Light, and the connections they have with Malik Zulu Shabazz, the money that he was getting so-called from the Nuwabians. Do you feel like all of this was tied in? First, did he get that money? And what do you think about the relationship between the three people that I just mentioned as opposed to
I don't know what Zulu Shabazz got paid. I've known him since he was in college when I lived in DC, because he used to go to Howard University. He would come up to the House of Knowledge where we worked at, and we would kick it, and he would come down to the Ansaar community, and he was still messing with Farrakhan. So he was going between both, back and forth. Over time, different places I would see him. I got into an argument one time down on F Street in DC. One of the last times that I saw him, he was saying we need to get that man out of jail. And then I heard that he had got hired by I think Sakina may have got hired him to be a part of that team with York and the team with Adrian Patrick and a couple other attorneys. So other than that, that's all I knew about it. Because at that time I wasn't even trying to deal with none of that case stuff.
Has anybody ever even looked up Malik's status as an attorney, as far as what type of attorney he is? Because to my understanding,
ain't that the one that had the misspelled diploma?
The misspelled diploma.
No, you talking about Ali Muhammad.
Yeah, Ali Muhammad.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know about that. I know he did go to law school.
I looked it up.
That's what he was studying when he was at Howard.
Aaron, what's NBP?
From what I understand, he's an injury attorney.
Stationed in
Washington.
I don't know.
Actual.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose his biography is I think his biography is available. Now, I do remember. Now, I'm not even gonna go into it, but I'm just saying, because I broke off, even though I was still with the Nuwapians, I kind of hung out with Steve Coakley a lot, and there was a little rift or big rift, not a little, because Khalid, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and Steve were doing a lot of lectures together, and they used to do it, especially in DC, because Steve lived in Silver Spring, and they would do at the Prince Hall Lodge on U Street. They would give lectures at the hall upstairs at the Prince Hall thing, and when he passed, I remember Steve came over to my table and we were saying, "Yeah, bro, we're gonna do a show talking about Zulu Shabazz, having something to do with that."
He did. You know how many times I got kicked off shows for this? I mean, and I've done my research, and people be telling me I'm crazy.
Yeah,
I remember him talking.
He was serious about that. He talked about just saying, I mean, he went in on Malik. He did. I'll never forget it, because he started just pointing out scenarios of the events as they happened, saying that how his face got put, meaning Zulu Shabazz's face got put on a page of the Washingtonian magazine.
That's why I separated from the organization, because when we got in there and investigated some stuff, we ended up really having a standoff that could have kind of turned bloody dealing with those people after we found out. So
that was crazy. Yeah, I remember that crazy period because
and his wife.
new.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm talking about that whole new Black Panther Party and his affiliation with it, and then that trying to link in with the Nuwapians, you know, because
Yes.
at that time we was black, and then you have a lot of pictures with us and them, or you see, you know, because Colette, he was just a good guy. I mean, I met him a few times, talked with him, and you know, he was very accommodating. So it just started looking as if the Nuwapians were becoming a part of the new Black Panther Party.
I said the same thing. And the sister Malika, because see, we did an investigation, and his wife is still down here in Nefertiti. She owns a store down here in Lenox Mall. And we all know about the cleaning up of the blood and all of that stuff. And then we also know for a fact as well that Sanetta, he was a member at that time. He left immediately after Khaled was, because we say killed, after Khaled was killed. And Sister Malika, which was one of the good sisters, she was Khaled's main security. I've been looking for her to try to find her to do some interviews because there was a lot of information she had. She even put out some videos about who killed Khaled. And Hashim Nzinga and Malik Zulu Shabazz was the last two to be actually on the scene the whole time that his wife had his body laying in there and helping her clean up and all of this extra stuff. So that's true. And it was a lot going on with Sanetta. And then wasn't Sanetta, to my understanding, was a Muslim. And they were all affiliates at the time. And we know that Farrakhan wanted Khaled dead. So I'm just saying, like, all of these different cults and stuff that's out here and the things that's being indicated now, do you kind of think that they all was in this together and coming in to destroy what we consider to be our Black community, or to like get rid of the people that was really trying to make a difference?
I don't know. Like I said, I was just at that time, you know, being in DC, because Steve was coming around, and the dudes who, you know, people who were part of his little group, the names committee, you know, chasing down the boule and all that stuff. That was something that I found to be appealing, and you know, I was rolling with him tough on that. And you know, whenever I ran into him, it was always cool. But other than as all that stuff started getting crazier, and you know, different people started joining, I don't know, because I wasn't that close to it. It was just that I tried to stay close to Steve in terms of being cordial, being you know, whenever I can call him whenever I needed him. If I wanted to get a video from him, I could just call him, and his wife, you know, would run one out real quick. But as far as in that organizational stuff, I was just more still with that whole Nuwapian thing. Well, at that time, it was Holy Tabernacle Ministries.
Did you ever meet Brother Shaka Shakur?
Doesn't sound familiar.
Okay.
No. As a matter of fact, I didn't even get. I had seen the new Black Panther Party, but I had really no kind of interaction with them other than like when the brother Khaled would be doing his little lectures. That was it. I would see him, but I never got in any. I never did any kind of interaction with them. Plus, they was always on post, so I didn't even want to breach that.
Well, again, I want to say thank you for answering all my questions. You brought some clarity to a lot of stuff I didn't know, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Yeah, thank you.
And you too, sis, for letting me ask all my questions.
Hold on, Aaron says he's met Shaka Shakur.
Well, we're really close. Tell Aaron when he gets the chance, ask Shaka Shakur about Nundy. That's a very, very good friend of mine. And he's also a person that was really close with Khaled. And has given me a lot of insight on what was really going on in this particular organization.
And that's interesting that you mentioned that. You know, at the funeral, the Nuwapians were there. Not only were we there because York's brother, he did the first prayer before everyone else came and spoke. Because when we arrived, we had to wear the full ancient Egyptian order garb. You know, it was like I think it was 50 or 60 of us, and we had sat to the right at the funeral.
Well, I wasn't at Colin's funeral. I came into the organization right after he died. I came in 2009.
Oh, okay.
So unfortunately, I didn't get to meet the brother as much as I heard about him. But the things that I know I would have loved him. But I didn't get to go to the funeral. But I got a lot of comrades that did and gave information. So I'm pretty sure they can fill in the blanks on everything that you're telling me about y'all being there.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, and that was, as a matter of fact, at the wake, even Al Sharpton came through.
The FBI was in the building.
While we was in line, you could see Al came with about three sisters. He came with. They went in there.
Phone tap, bro.
Yeah.
Damn, he can't even stop. He got to come infiltrate a funeral. What the heck?
But it was York's brother Oba, Dwight York Jr., who gave the opening prayer.
And Oba was the one that had
the Islamic mission. Yeah, he had the guys who wear the green. That's his community.
Okay. And is he still active, or?
As far as I know, he's elderly. No, I don't think he's doing anything. No.
I mean, his group's still active.
That I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I gotta get ready to go to work.
Okay, Chuck.
But if you're still on, hey, because I wanted to show you some of them pictures.
I already told you. You promised send me pictures. We gonna be here waiting. We gonna find something to occupy ourselves until you get back. You already know.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. Cool. All right.
All
well,
right,
thanks
Chuck.
everybody for listening and the
Thank
good
you,
questions, the positivity. Cool. I appreciate it, Nani, you, everybody. All right, I'm out.
All right. See you when you get back.
Okay.
Do I know King Samir Shabazz and Divine a lot? No, I don't.
I do. If he goes on my page, he'll see me in pictures with King Samir Shabazz. I worked with him for about 9 years. He was the defense minister of the NBPP.
That was that real dark skinned guy, right?
Yeah, the one who got the locks.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard about him in years though.
He's out. He's just over there with a fake bitch. He's working with Kristen Muhammad now, somebody who doesn't put in any work in the community. So
yeah, I remember he was real active. Well, I heard a lot about him around about 2012. Then after that, I haven't heard anything from him.
I was working with him then, but see, he left because they did the same thing to Brother Samir as they did to me and his friend Kahudi. They shitted on Brother Samir when he got caught up for the voter intimidation thing that they did when it was that when Obama was being voted in, and they left him in jail. Same thing they did to me.
Oh, okay. Because I think right after Obama got in office, I never heard anything more from that brother.
Yeah, they all got indicted. Malik Zulu, Shabazz, and all of them, right? They got indicted for the voter intimidation.
I didn't know that.
But, yeah. But the only person who did time was King Samir and another brother, and Malik Zulu, Shabazz, and all of them. They actually got pardons from Barack Obama. I have those documents. I'm gonna see if I can find them and share the screen with sis.
Oh yeah, I think Alex Jones he got pissed off about that.
Yeah, they got pardons. They got off that shit. Yeah. When, technically speaking, because we can talk about it now. They were really involved in that, and after King Samir, because we all left around the same time with them shitting on us like that. King Samir's best friend, which was Brother Kahudi, a lot of them say he died out, like they said, Brother Fahim and Brother Horror. But no, these brothers were assassinated in the organizations or taken out with certain tactics. They used to always mistreat Brother Kahudi and shit like that. That's why when you see King Samir at Brother Fahim's funeral, I'll show you pictures. He came in army fatigues, black and white, and turned his back to the Black Panthers. So he made a video about that, saying how they left him in jail and Malik didn't leave him anything. And matter of fact, while y'all talking, let me find it and let me share it with sis so she can play it. Okay. Because he fucks with me hard, so he don't mind me, using his stuff up there. Let me find it while y'all doing it.
Aaron said King Samir was also the chairman of the Philadelphia chapter.
Yep, he sure was. Aaron knows a lot.
But also, she was the chairman of the Houston chapter. That's it, man. You and Nandy need to come up here one day and chat.
He know a lot of people. Me and him might be done bumped heads. We just got to see each other. Because if he knows all of that, and I was in the organization from 2009 until 2017, because I was the chief of staff and then became chairwoman. And that's when I opened my organization of 3GP, because I don't know, ex-brother Aaron, did he know about Nundy and the fam and the incident that happened at the Tupac Center with oh, he can hear me. So the people with the Tupac Center, when we had an event at the Tupac Center here with Afina Shakur, and there was a group that put Malik them under guns. We had an incident with that. Were you at the Tupac Center, or are you familiar with that particular incident? Because if you are the fam, and the people that put the guns on Malik, Zulu, Shabazz, and Hashim was us when they crossed us out on some shit. So are you familiar with that? I can't see the chat, sis, because I'm.
He said he left around 2008.
Okay.
You know, it's a little bit. It's like a 30-second lag or so. So when you ask somebody something, you have to wait a second.
Oh no, I can't see it. That's why I said, because I'm looking for this video.
Yeah, you know, I got you. I got you. I am just here as a facilitator, and I ask a couple of questions because I'm nosy.
So, Aaron, were you in when Brother Telly and Brother Will was in there? Kente Allah. Did you get to meet any of those people?
Uda, you still woke? Or you over there slobbing on the mic?
I'm up.
Okay.
Hey, Uda, I didn't even know you was on here.
Yeah, I was in the cut. I'm in the cut, just listening in, man. I'm listening.
You was Uda yesterday, wasn't you, honey?
Telling Chuck, Chuck, I'm creating a show, Chuck. We gotta create a TV show with this shit, man.
You was swag-rific yesterday, wasn't you, Uda?
Huh?
You was swag-rific yesterday in your blue, wasn't you?
Oh yeah, man. I can't play with him sometime. You know what I mean?
Aaron says he's not familiar with that incident, but he does know about the voter intimidation incident.
I just want to say one thing to the people. Make sure you checking out nuwapianism.com. Follow those links in the chat, nuwapianism.com. Make sure you subscribing to Chuck Morgan's YouTube page. Okay? Let us not be the way that we be. Okay? Go and subscribe to Chuck Morgan's YouTube channel so you can have access to this knowledge more frequently as well. When he go up, you can be right there. Turn the notification bells on. Chuck Morgan YouTube channel. Subscribe.
Okay, you up on the main screen, Andy.
Okay, let me play this for y'all. This is King Samir. I'm going to show y'all a video, but I want y'all to hear what he had to say about Zulu and what happened. And the same thing happened with us. Let me let y'all hear this.
Aaron said the name Telly sounds kind of familiar.
You know what I'm saying? He used to have that black stick running them all dead back in the day. Yes, sir. Cats don't know that our history go back real ancient. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, I want to ask you, how did Minister Malik Shabazz feel about the whole situation? Because I know that from some of the information I was reading, he was working with you, dealing with this situation. Am I correct?
No, sir.
So that was false?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but they
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it because it has to be clear. I have to say this. Malik Zulu Shabazz did not a damn thing for my case. Nothing. He got on Facebook, lying to the people, talking about he was doing this and he was sending this person to talk to my lawyers and all this type of stuff. Bullshit. And and that hurt me, man, because my thing was, I'm taking this enslavement, protecting the organization that technically I'm not even a member of that particular formation anymore. But based on the fact that I believe in revolutionhood, I believe in camaraderie and brotherhood, true, loyal, sincere brotherhood. I ain't no damn snitch. They wanted me to snitch on the new Black Panther Party. Who got the guns? Who got the dope? Okay. I ain't no damn snitch. So whatever y'all get ready to do, come on. I'm tired. I'm pissed off. Y'all done ruined my whole weekend. You did. Let's get this over with. Whatever you want.
Now let me stop this. Because I'm going to show you the same fucking thing happened to us. He lied. He tried to make it seem like he was helping, doing all this shit. They raided our headquarters down here in Atlanta. And when they raided our headquarters, they came to the scene. We made the news, all of that shit. You know what them motherfuckers was telling us to do? Surrender, give up our guns. They took their buttons off. They took their berets off. So when, you know, the shit, when the shit popped off and we ended up getting out, we had an event at the Tupac Center with Sister Afina Shakur. They ripped that lady off, was calling her all kind of names, doing all kind of disrespectful shit. So we ended up having a standoff with their motherfucking asses. But you give me a minute and let me find our video, and I'm gonna show you where they raided my headquarters. If anybody got some questions.
Okay, Aaron said he was in the Delta chapter at the time. Malik came with them and the Houston chapter to New Orleans when they went down there and helped rescue people after Hurricane Katrina. Then
So that means he was in with Crystal Muhammad when she first came down there.
He said he remembered King Samir used to defend Malik, and this is how Malik returns the favor.
Yep, we all used to defend Malik. I remember when it was times, boy, you just don't know how many standoffs we have had, sis, and shit like that, and they left us in jail, no phone calls, no money on the books, no nothing, absolutely nothing. Let me find, see, this is events where we was, where you see my mouse, that's Minister Hashim Nzinga where we was at, being their security. That was the part where we made the news, and they left us in fucking jail. And as you can see, you can look back on these videos. This 10, 20 years. This is one of the videos where we were surrounded. That's about 26 seconds. Let me find the bigger ones. Let me go through the videos. I got a whole full video.
I'm gonna step up from the mic a minute. I need some water.
Yep, y'all give me 1 second. I'm sure you're about to find this. They turn their back on all their members. That's what they do. Let me go ahead and just type it in. Made the news. See if it pops up like this. Oh, that's the vision. Let me go back in here. That's what I need to do. Let me hit that icon. Videos, we got so many. Okay, here we go, sis. Let me play this. And as you can see, this was 10 years ago.
Was halfway investigators were looking for. They said the person that was shooting were in our house. But
this young man was one of my members. I just want to let y'all know who everybody was. He was one of our Puerto Rican members. His name is Arcisco. He was one of our field marshals. He was outside speaking to the news people because of the shit that went on. So let me just keep going.
And 3.5 hours later.
That was my house. This is the headquarters where they, had SWAT and everybody to come out and raid our headquarters and found out we was Panthers.
We hired tear gas from his home on Van Williams Drive near Lakeview Drive in Southeast Atlanta. They brought close to 10 people out.
That's me right there where the police done down, kicked the door in and whooped my ass. That was me getting arrested.
He came in from the back window, the side window. They busted glass. Please tell me they swarmed the Tony to hope to find the car.
That was our field marshal. He used to be with King Samuel working all the time. His name was Field Marshal Woe.
Oh,
I'm gonna show you a video of the U-Haul, and it was right probably a couple of days after we was downtown feeding the homeless, and I'll show y'all this, and you'll know why we had truck.
Went inside, and when the homeowner refused to let them in, they called the SWAT team. This woman was inside the house.
That was our spokesperson for my chapter, because I had all youth in my chapter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made it a little more deadly. Her name's Omari.
For the women with children and pregnant women to get on the ground for somebody shooting. Initially, police took the custody. The shooter, they say they were after all along, and the homeowner from the start. Uncalled for. None of this was called for. And combined count 2 action news. Actually inside the house when they sprayed tear gas. He's in custody right now.
When you heard that shit, we stayed on that standoff for 5.5 hours. Nobody was charged. They had the wrong house, all of that bullshit. These people had confiscated guns and everything. These niggas didn't give a damn. They left us there. They was all standing outside. And they took their buttons and berets off and said that they didn't want nothing to do with the standoff with SWAT. And these motherfuckers negotiated with the police in order to get us, you know what I'm saying, to get us caught up. So I'm just showing y'all King Samir wasn't lying about a lot of shit. And this has happened before. Let me go.
Aaron said he remember when they were in Philadelphia in 2006. He was soldiering with Samir when some shit jumped off in the hood. You know, Aaron, you can jump up here and say this.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah, he knows a lot. Because King Samir.
That's what I'm saying. You don't need to be in the chat right now. You need to be up on the panel, my dude.
Yeah, you and Nandi to start the show right now.
Y'all gonna quit trying to snatch my guest.
Let me show y'all this. This is why we had the U-Haul, and we still feel like them motherfuckers set us up because they was jealous of some shit. Let me show you what we used to do, and they told us we shouldn't be doing this and stand down. Let me go back for all the people who say I raised a bunch of punks and all this crazy shit on these shows too. Let me show y'all. This what the fuck I do with my time. Right here was my Chairman Yang at the time. This is when I just letting everybody see the uniforms for the last Sanita said when he said I wasn't no Panther and we wasn't doing shit. And I'm gonna show y'all my sons and my brothers for the bitches who said I got some transgenders over here. Let me keep going.
Aaron has joined the panel.
Hey, what's going on, family?
What's going on with you?
All right, yeah. When we talking about the NBPP, right, bringing back some memories. Yeah, I remember.
I'm sorry, Aaron. I'm trying to get through the video right quick. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay.
I'm just letting y'all know who everybody is. This is my brother. He's our defense minister down here. He's Defense Minister Bear. Let me finish, y'all. I'm just going to go around so y'all can see me. Oh, by the way, Malik Zulu Shabazz chumped us off. He told us why the fuck was we feeding the crackers. We got rolled up for that because we fed the white man. This is the type of shit that we endure. We're dealing with what we consider to be a black supremacist organization. So I just wanted to let y'all know that we got rolled up for feeding the white man. This another one of the field marshals. That's my other little brother. That's Field Marshal Woe, the one y'all seen just getting arrested.
Yeah, make a straight line, man. Yeah, cause gotta have the process. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, tell to the front.
That's me right there with my bars on my hat. I was chief of staff at that time. And then I'm gonna let Brother Aaron speak and we can finish the video because I don't want to tell you it ain't but 5 minutes, but I'll let him go ahead and make his comments. But just for people who was always talking about why the fuck none of you don't be on these shows and what I be doing, I do this shit every day. If you heard me say I won't do what I did yesterday, because the day before we was out there a whole fucking 24 hours and went from Atlanta to Decatur over on Candler Road and all those different areas feeding the homeless, and we didn't get a damn dime or any help from the NBPP members, the head so-called national organization. So I'll pause it right there for a minute and we can finish that after the brother makes his points, because I don't want to take up the show like that.
You good, Mandy? I think he was just eager because he said it's bringing back memories.
Yeah.
Okay,
can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sweetie.
I mean, the problem is, I think the NBPP, when I was there, it wasn't necessarily a bad organization, but it was too many people that was in it for the wrong reasons. You know, you got people want that they was turned on by the fact, oh, y'all get to wear guns, carry guns and stuff. They didn't really know what the movement was truly about. And then it also does come from the leadership, because it was just a different organization. It wasn't, you had too many people, too many breakaway members from the nation and the Israelites and stuff like that, and they wanted to bring those ideologies into the NBPP, and that's not what it was about.
That is so true.
I think that's one of the reasons why.
That's true. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, because like now, because see, when I was there, I used to wonder members from the original organization, like Huey. I think what was her name? I met her, Kathleen Cleaver, or why they didn't respect us. They really didn't, and I kind of understand why. At the time, I didn't know why. I thought they were wrong for that, but now I understand why, because the NBPP really did not do right by people. It was too many splinter groups. It was too much fighting, and I mean, when you mention people like Crystal Muhammad, I know her too well. I mean, Crystal's hard, but she's got a fire too.
You got to get to know Nandy. That bitch ain't no sweetheart. She full of shit. That's why I smacked her ass. I don't fuck with her. So no. When you come through the community, sleeping with all the brothers, stealing motherfucking money, causing ruckus, not doing a damn thing, leaving your motherfucking comrades hanging, bitch, we getting beat up, and your motherfucking hands in the air talking about don't motherfucking shoot. I ain't got no respect for nobody like that. That bitch need to take her boots off and sit her wishbone ass down. Because that's what I call the wishbone. So many penis has been in her ass, her legs is stuck that way. I'm not finna be nice to her. Because she's done a lot of damage to our people and the organization, just like Malik Zulu Shabazz.
Yeah, I remember when because I do remember when he was defending York, and I'm like, York had more than just Malik defending him. I'm nothing about this thing right here. That, I mean,
I can't say nothing now. Let me stop right there, because I'm an honest person. Just like Chuck and everybody else, I thought York was innocent too. When you look at all of the documents and the stuff that went on with the case, unless you got a real keen eye, because like Chuck said, we bumped heads about it. I'm like, y'all got to be damn crazy. This is a political prisoner locked up. What the fuck are y'all doing? Until we really sat down and deciphered all of the documents and stuff. And I still feel There was a lot of discrepancies in there, but will I ever dispute the fact?
The unsealed transfer.
Yeah, no, see, this is what I'm saying, sis. I'm not saying this. What I'm saying, I know the motherfucker guilty of raping them children. That's not what I'm saying. I would never sit there and defend that. No, fuck no. I've seen certain shit that I've read, but there was a lot of discrepancy still with the governmental system within itself to make absolutely sure that his ass stay under the jail. Not that we give a damn if it sticks. So what I'm saying is when you're looking at the case, it will look like this man just got railroaded. What the fuck? Then when you get the documents, when you get answers from people like
people don't seem to realize that this went on 5 years and he transferred them over more than one line, and he kept the criminal enterprise going just so that he could have access to all these children. And that's why they set the charges up like that, because they were stacking them.
But see, this is good that you did this, because even unanswered questions that I needed closure with when I was studying, because I got a sister by the name of Irish. It's a couple of people that still contacts me, you know, in reference to this, because they were Nuwabians, and we bump heads about it because, like I said, after me looking at all this stuff and paying attention to what really happened, and I've been on a couple of shows like, y'all tripping, you know, this man is not guilty. Look at the case, look at the paperwork. See, it takes a person to be honest about what they thought, and then you come back and you be real. But after I seen all of this shit and all these kids was popping, I'm like, man, something ain't right about this bullshit. So when I got in further studies and then just getting closure with the stuff that you brought to your show, for reading the books and all of that stuff that I, you know, haven't gotten into.
That's why I say those old interviews for y'all even knew about me. Stuff is in there because we used to grill Chuck like nothing. He'd be like, I love it.
But see, you good, because when you brought those books, like I hadn't read that book, and I'm listening, I'm like, what the fuck? Wait a minute, I didn't know all of this. And then you got Chuck on here. It helps people like me better understand how to put context to it. Yeah, you brought a lot of clarity to stuff that I hadn't paid attention to. So, nah, take a person to be honest. I was one of those people thought he was innocent as hell too, and they just trapped another one of our brothers until I moved to the cave. So,
but the thing,
when I was in the NBPP, when I was in NBPP, I used to always be one of those that would be like, man, they messing with the brothers and they mess with the sisters. Nah, I didn't think nobody was guilty, because I really believed in this organization. I was so caught up in the fact that I was a Panther, and I really wanted to do the work though.
Shit, me too. My family was original Black Panther. Shit, my whole family was original Black Panther. So I'm thinking, I'm carrying it, you know, bloody rags of my niggas, and I'm finna handle business. I didn't know I was in a phony organization.
Exactly. My mom was the original also. I mean, out of my hometown, Chicago. I mean, so those guys. I mean, I met Fred Hampton Jr. in person, and he has no respect at all for Malik.
I met Fred Hampton.
Or the organization.
We had you down here in Atlanta with the gang members and stuff, and Malik showed his natural ass on that brother. Like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. Fuck the Panthers, and Gay Way wasn't right. They Crystal Muhammad cursed Bobby Seals out at the 50th anniversary and threw a fucking newspaper in the brother's face. He came down here trying to train us. Yeah, she threw a newspaper. She threw the newspaper in his face. I got that video. Let me find it, because he talked about the shit.
I remember I'm only in New Orleans, Crystal and Malik. Well, at times we getting into disagreements and arguments when we was in New Orleans. And man, Crystal, when you don't agree with Crystal, she goes off. I mean, I done been to Crystal's house, so believe me, I know. So you and me both know Crystal very well.
Peace and welcome.
I'm finna find that video. Now, yeah, when we had the 50th anniversary, she
told that Crystal actually beat this woman's ass with a stick for trying to smoke crack in the headquarters in Houston. She chased it down.
She ain't chased nobody down doing shit. Don't listen to that bitch fabricating stories. Crystal ain't gonna bust a grape in Welch's backyard.
That would kill me every time. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Nah, they specialize in grape juice, boo. That bitch, she scared to bust grapes when they bust grapes the best. She ain't shit.
If you talking Dots, we can't hear you, so you might have your mic muted.
Hold on, I'm gonna find this video for y'all with Bobby Seals. And see, I have my points about Bobby Seals because he was a fucking sellout. We all know that.
Be flipping off.
When he came down here to really try to train us, right way and give us the drills and the maneuvers. And he was telling us to kind of separate ourselves from the 10-point platform because that shit originated from Islam. And this bitch got mad and threw a newspaper in his face and told him, fuck him. His old ass don't run shit.
Is anybody still selling hot sauce company?
He makes barbecue now.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with
barbecue
it.
sauce.
I was just wondering, yeah.
He sold us out though. Let's keep it a stack. He was a little military dude. He turned the party into all of that political shit and trying to run into office. Hell, they were so stupid. He even put Huey's name on the ballot running for damn office when Huey was incarcerated. So we all know Bobby Seals wasn't shit, but when you got one of the originators, you respect that shit. You respect them coming down here trying to work with us. But let me play this right here. He's telling this is the event that we were actually at, and this bitch went off and cursed him out and called him all kind of names. Here we go.
Asked on behalf of me, I guess, was it's in regards to young people today, and he says, "Is there a need for a new Black Panther Party?"
The existing new Black Panther Party. Listen to me, y'all. Every last one of you. Thumbs down. The group now that's called the Black Panthers, zip. Everything I talked about here to you tonight, their rhetoric is totally antithetical to what we stood for and what we were about. They are confusing our African-American history of what my Black Panther Party was about. Now, I appealed to them. We've had those guys at some of our reunions. They insulted us, etc., cutting my head off. That famous picture of me and Huey standing in front of the office, cutting my head up, putting Khalid's head up there. That doesn't. And then going to be arrogant about it. So we told them to get out. Don't come to our reunions anymore. We was trying to educate you about what we were about. So I have nothing to do with them as a new Black Panthers. You know what I mean? You don't have to have an organization named the Black Panther Party to do the positive, progressive things I'm talking about. There's all kind of organizational groups. They are progressive. You have to see how progressive an organizational group of people are and what they're about in terms of what and what they're organizing around. You know what I mean? It's really, truly leading to not only more political progressive.
It's a whole video on this. I just wanted to show y'all that short part. You can go down here, you see it. He's down here, right here. It's a 2-hour video. Let me pause this. It's a 2-hour video. If you go down there and he's talking about it, but that's the event where this heifer threw the newspaper in his face. Fuck you. You don't want to hear what you gotta say.
Crystal threw a newspaper in his face, man.
She threw a newspaper in that brother's face. Oh my man, look, we even was ready to whoop her.
I mean,
we caught so much heat behind
what made her do that though?
She was
Why
mad
did she do that though?
Because he was telling her that they were not a Black supremacist organization. They believed in power to all people. They believed that it was oppression in all backgrounds and races. And he said what they were doing when it came to building, even when Fred Hampton built the Rainbow Coalition by talking to the rednecks, the Young Patriots, the Brown Berets, we still believe in total separation and power for our people. But we all realized we had a common factor. 99% had the same problem, oppression from the 1%. So if we can get these people over here, rednecks and everybody, to get the
when
rednecks
I think about it too, Huey was right. Bobby was right. When I think about it, Bobby was right. I mean, the NBPP did become more of a Black supremacist organization. It became hateful.
Yeah, because like Bobby was telling us, he said, let me tell y'all why it was a threat. People think it was the damn grits. It wasn't. He said, when you got people like Fred Hampton that can go sit down with the rednecks, the Ku Klux Klan, the goddamn Nazis, and them motherfuckers is ready to kill their own goddamn people, it's time to kill some pigs. We get ready to kill some fucking pigs and we gonna clean this shit up because ain't no fucking revolution without bloodshed. So when they realized that they could get their own people, like the Weathermen Underground and shit, who was affiliated with Batula Shakur and all of them, that blow the police. You see what I'm saying? You got the PLA, which has never been infiltrated, which is the military part of the Black Panther Party that's separated from these phony motherfuckers. The BLA still here now, Black Liberation Army.
Oh, I know about the BLA to kill Mutakim. Yep, yep. They were the ones who robbed banks. I remember BLA. It was well, it was Lil Mutakim, the other two. Yep.
Yeah.
And I
all
also
of them,
remember
they was going up armor cars and all kind of shit for the people, police precincts,
the
state capitals.
The Weather Underground. They're the ones who blew up the Marion County courthouse after Jonathan Jackson and George Jackson were assassinated.
And you know what's crazy? Not one of the underground weathermen snitched. They still doing up. They 74 years apiece now. 3 motherfucking Black Panther members. 2 of them from down here in Atlanta. Black men like a fucking William O'Neill is what set the organizations up. What set Matula Shakur up. And all of this shit that's going on today. It was the underground weathermen. A lot of people didn't know. Them same people who went in there and got Assata up out that fucking jail.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
See, they don't look at the history. So it wasn't that we didn't want shit to do with each other. No, but see, if you could get in there and get your motherfucking people, because majority of the people, that's why they said the Panthers were communists. Because
a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this, I've seen the archival footage, but it's Malcolm X was actually having a speech and had a couple of Nazis sitting in the meeting with him. They were just listening. Because see, Malcolm understood, hey, listen, we may oppose each other, but we do have some things in common. So and that's why they was able to sit in the meeting. A lot of people think it was just hate versus hate. Yeah, it probably was, but at the same time they understood each other too. They respected each other's mind.
And then, you know, Malcolm always open his meetings, hello, Muslims. He'll say, Assalamu alaikum, and all of that. He'll say, hello to my damn enemies.
Mm-hmm.
He always started his speeches over there because I know I got some enemies in here today.
Yep.
So, but see, the thing is, that's why I hate the civil rights movement, and that's what my grandfather taught me about that. Him and Hosea Williams was best friends because the civil rights movement took the militancy out of what we was really trying to do. That's why Michael King.
Yeah, they was co-opted. We know that definitely.
And see, that's why Michael King, while everybody references Negro as Martin, Michael King, and I'm gonna show y'all who the real Martin Luther King is, but Michael King actually said he led his people to slaughter. That's why a lot of people don't talk about the poor man's march, because the poor man's march would have been a variety of all of the people, the slaves and everybody who was broke. And then when they got to Washington, there wasn't gonna be no motherfucking march. You got the Black Panther Party, you got the damn Black Muslims, you got the Young Patriots, you got the rednecks, and everybody got one thing in common: fuck up the government. They had
don't forget about AIM.
Yes,
don't forget about AIM, Leonard Peltier's organization too. AIM, I think they was down with it too.
And see what they had to do, they said, wait a minute, because this nigga Malcolm, and he connect with these Panthers and now they come here, we gotta kill this nigga. We gotta get Malcolm because we already got Martin in our pocket anyway, because everybody know, and I hate people that don't like to hear the truth, but Messy Jackson, Martin Luther King, the Big Six, just like Malcolm said, them motherfuckers was paid informers. They was paid to start these motherfucking marches to take the distraction off what we was really doing. But Martin,
that's why Elijah and other ministers they had to shut Malcolm down because Malcolm too radical, and not to mention other ministers was jealous of Malcolm. Because see, Malcolm, he came up in there and he moved stuff. He moved things. He made some stuff act right. He had that. He was charismatic and he actually made stuff happen. Not like a lot of these other ministers who just do a whole lot of woofing and talking, but nothing happening. And I'm not shitting on the NOI, but it's some discrepancy involved with them too. We know that.
Well, I shit on them all the time. I don't give a damn about it because truth is truth. And that's like Malcolm said. Before Malcolm, the NOI had already failed. Malcolm rejuvenated their organization. Malcolm built the FOI. You know what I'm saying? But see, they knew they had to kill Malcolm because a lot of people don't look at this. Malcolm has separated from the Nation of Islam. And he took damn near the entire organization with him. And a lot of people don't want to speak on it. When you got 200 to 300,000 people. I'm talking about even the people over there in the foreign countries who tell you you will denounce Farad Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan if you come in our motherfucking country. Don't mention their names over here. If you step foot in Mecca or wherever around our motherfucking praying quarters talking about these Negroes, we're gonna off your motherfucking head. So when Malcolm came back instead, I seen blue-eyed people and pale-faced people, all this different stuff praying over there. Then he outed Elijah.
Mhm.
They knew Malcolm would be more deadlier at killing their motherfucking ass because he took all of the damn near FOI with him. They was ready.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I mean, Malcolm,
He was gonna
like
put
you
their
said,
asses on-
sister, he really
sorry,
did
sorry.
rejuvenate the nation.
Yeah, see
No,
what he
no,
was
you're
gonna
good,
do.
sister. But you're right.
At the Ottoman
Yeah, he
ballroom,
really did
he told him
rejuvenate the
straight up. He said, since I'm already, he said, I'm a dead man already. So since I am, what I'm gonna first do is put all these motherfuckers' names out who doing grimy shit when I have my speech. Then after that, it was gonna be a fucking war. And they knew it.
You know what? I think Malcolm did know he was gonna die that night. He probably
He did.
really did know. I think because he looked the gunman right in the eye and smiled.
See, let me tell you.
Yeah, he was going.
Malcolm said he was trained. He was trained. He trained the NOI, so like those guys, so he would know.
Yeah, and
He
see,
knew
not
how they
even
would set
only
him up.
that, he knew what was going on. They had already had assassination attempts on him, and then 2 weeks prior, everybody knew that Farrakhan had already rented the ballroom. 2 weeks prior, that was for him to be able to go in there and set up everything because he didn't even trust the two guys that he had, and that's why I laugh at a lot of people. The 2 men who was in there, shot Malcolm. No, the fuck they didn't, because if you look at the angles and where the gunshots came from, that shit came from behind the walls. It was some motherfuckers already. Go ahead.
What's one of the name? What's the name? Norman 3X Butler. He was one of the shooters, and I think Tamaje Hagan. He was another shooter. Those are the names of 2 of the shooters I know of.
And see, it was more than that.
Outside beat the hell.
It was more than that, because if you go back and look at the documents and the angles of where the bullets hit them at and where they came from, they had all of that documented. If that brother had shot him up close like that, close range, he would have already been gone.
Mm-hmm.
Those bullets came from out
Right.
of the, everybody knows that shit, and they was even able to go in, and that's why I said a lot of people didn't really investigate and see where there were bullet holes and shit in the wall. Now, did none of Malcolm soldiers have no weapons out, really? They ended up beating one of the brothers to hold them down because Malcolm wasn't really concerned about it.
When they said that, one of the things that they said, because see, they tried to get Malcolm before the Audubon ballroom when the old boy uttered that phrase, "Get your hand out of my pocket." That was the signal for them to take him out then. But I think the first time they tried it, it didn't work. So they waited until he got into the Audubon ballroom where they knew people sitting down and be paying attention. And then that's what they said it again, "Nigga, get your hand out of my pocket." And that was the cue.
But see, pay attention. You just brought up some key shit because see, a lot of people, they missed that. That was real. Let me tell you why. The first time, it didn't work because them motherfuckers got scared. They were scared to kill Malcolm. They knew that they had too many people that was going to come after them. They were scared, so they froze. So to make sure this time that they did it, they planted gunmen in other areas of the fucking ballroom. Just in case these two black men that they chose to do it this time didn't want to do shit or they freeze up again. They wanted to make absolute sure that Malcolm was dead this time. And you are absolutely right, sir, about that first time.
Yep. If you go to any of the nations, if you go to any of the nations' mosque or any of their meetings, you're gonna literally go through layers and layers of security. I mean, they own it. Matter of fact, if you check out this, I don't know if you've seen it, but one of the most famous Savior's Days from '85, where they talk about the assassination of Malcolm. Tell you what, I think Farrakhan did everything. He said everything, we did it. But the one he was saying was pretty much pointing out, yeah, they took him out. He was saying one of the things he said.
Traitors.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, brother? Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. If
I
we
mean,
handle our
it's like he
traders
may,
and
he
our
may as well.
nation is our thing or something like that.
Yep.
You know,
He
I
said what we
brought
did with
that
traders. Yep. Yep. He said
I've
how
been
we
on
deal with the traders our damn business.
I've
Yep.
been on several shows. You could go back and look at any of these shows that I've been on. And I was telling them, I said, no, this shit was a setup. Them niggas didn't even have no bullets. They was blank. They was planes. That shit. Look at that. Ain't none of you crazy as hell. That's also now these. I was just on a show the other day. I think I was on the argument league, and this brother, was going back and forth with me about what happened with Malcolm and that particular situation, even with the children. And when I went back and I said, let me go and check this shit with Elijah and Farad and all of this shit. A lot of people ain't gonna like what I'm gonna say, but Farad was homosexual, and I believe Elijah was too. They was too close when this shit first happened, and everybody brought that out, but nobody wanted to speak. So then it goes to him messing with these little children and shit. And I'm just showing the long line of pedophilia that was going on, because everybody know Farad was a fucking A-man. He was not no black man. That's the lie they tried to tell. Like they said, even the stories of him having a black father and all that shit, none of it was ever proven because he had so many different aliases and nobody really figured out where he came from or what his method was. Then he just, mysteriously disappeared. So
you talking about Elijah?
Yes, I am.
Or are you talking about him?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a white Arab. Yeah, you're right.
I'm talking about their leader.
Yeah, there is no evidence in history showing that Farad, nothing that validates what the Nation of Islam teach about Farad in his past.
Thank you.
I've looked it up myself, you know what I mean, and as a non-biased spectator, and I found nothing to validate the stories that I was told about him.
I can, and they don't have a birth certificate. They said it when he went to jail, they had so many different alias names and all of this crazy stuff. And then even when they stated where he came from, it was in an Arabic country. So I'm like he said, even the stuff that the sends back will tell us clearly that that crap wasn't for us, because the Arabs and certain people who follow the Islamic religion, they don't accept black Muslims. That's why they call them the black Muslims.
Call them, I think it's called Habibs. Or something
they were actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Habib.
We actually had slavery before people. That's why we accept for the Europeans.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people can't understand how some black people claim genealogy from certain parts of North Africa, because we got to realize the first slave trade took place in North Africa around 600 after Muhammad.
Thank you. Wow.
What they did
Jewish
is
and Arabic slave trade. Don't nobody talk about this. Let me mute my mic. Tell the truth, babe. I'm sorry.
Yeah. This is the biggest, I've learned this on my own. And there's a few videos, but it's very hard to find on YouTube, but it talks about the Arab slave trade and how they started to basically wipe out the North African indigenous people and put them in slavery. They sent some of them went to India, and then a lot of them fled to West Africa. You get what I'm saying? So that's why you got places like Egypt, Liberia, Morocco. That's why if you go there, you'll see a lot of white Arabs there, and those Arabs, they are Turks. They're not originally from that place. They're not really indigenous there. They've just been there for a long time. And that's why if you see the Moors, that turban, just the turban and the fez itself, that's a Turkish hat.
Oh, say it again. Say it again, because I got kicked off the show for that. They told me I was lying.
Yeah, that's Turkish. You get what I'm saying? So you got the Turks invaded. The Turks via Islam came down and invaded certain parts of North Africa, and you had a lot of the Africans. They were living in places like Egypt, and Liberia. That's why you get your what's your boy name, Gaddafi. That's why you get all those Arabs that's in North Africa. They're pretty much related, and they was the original slave trade. You know what I'm saying?
That's why Gaddafi gave Farrakhan them $20 million that nobody never found out about.
Yeah, because they don't want nobody to talk about the fact that land is that land is part of the reasons why we was dispossessed and we was sold off to America. You know what I mean? And now they're trying to say, like I got indigenous background here in America, but we have a connection to Africa. Don't get it twisted. People are trying to do this. We was always here. We were, but there is certain parts of our genealogy were here, but there's some people that came on them boats, man. You know what I'm saying?
You know, one thing I don't do, I don't argue and debate with people.
But they don't want us talking about the fact that all that North African land, a lot. If you do, like my sister did a genealogy test. I'm related more to the what you call it, I'm related more to the Ethiopians, the Bedouins of Ethiopia, than I am to the West Africans.
Now I know this might sound crazy to you with the genealogy stuff and the Africans, the slave.
Yeah, I know about that too. But go ahead.
Let me say this: it's too many tribes. We're not gonna talk about the names because Ethiopia, all of this shit we know is new names that was given. This is not the original name of those lands. We can go back to Kush or Kibala. We can go so Mesopotamia. We can go so far back, and we also have to understand that there was slaves that was taken from here and took over to Europe and different areas, and even to some of those countries in the continent of Africa before they started bringing slaves from over there over here. So if there was people that was already here, like you stated, the indigenous, Black people or Indians, or I'm gonna say tribes, because we not from motherfucking Indonesia, tribes and shit that was already here, and we were taken over there during the Arabic and Jewish slave trades and all of this shit before the transatlantic slave trade. Then are we really from Africa, or did we go over there and populate Africa, the countries in Africa? Because remember, the first slaves was taken from over here.
Back to Europe and North Africa. Yeah, I know about that.
A lot of people also argue.
Go ahead, brother.
I was saying a lot of people don't like the fact that also that if you say Africa wasn't the original name, they're like, oh yes, it was. No, Africa was named after a European, Leo Africanus.
Thank you, Cefrios Africanus. Cefrios Africanus. Yes.
But it's all good though. I mean, like I was saying, people just want to. I mean, I don't like to really argue and debate with people, but when you tell people certain little facts that we know, they just get so caught up and like, no, it was this way, and okay, bro, calm down,
But see, if you look at the name Africa within itself, sir, it's an Arabic name, and I don't care how many people try to twist it to something else. See, I look up these names and where they come from. It's Arabic. Just like any of the Islamic stuff that they teach us are Arabic, and all of this shit descends back to Greekology. So we have to look at the invasions and the wars and all of this different stuff before we could just really adamantly say how the slave trades went. So much stuff has been changed. Maps has been flipped over. The land, it's ports and shit that has been built because, according to the wars, is the land that they conquered. So they renamed them after themselves, and they drew lines around shit that didn't belong to them. So Africa, as far as the continent, that's crazy for us to even reference it as that. When you got 100+ countries and all type of villages that's trapped inside of a continent that was conquered by one of the oppressors. So I don't deal with that. The provenance of Africa actually started and originated in Europe. But then you would get people to try to say that Black people was the first people in Europe, which is a bold-faced lie. Because if you go to Europe and all these different areas of where we consider the Caucasoids, and that's what you want to call them, or the Spaniards and all of these different places, these people came from over there. And even in the references of Africa, the parts that they reference as Africa, just the northern part, because that was the part that was conquered by Afrikaners. So they really don't even reference the entire continent as that. It's just only a portion of that. And that's documented evidence when you're looking up everything about, the geography and all of the things that went on before they changed these names. We had 7 civilizations long before damn Egypt, so we can't even stop there. We can't do that. And what were those 7 civilizations? We go back to people like Kush, like they said, Mesopotamia, so many of them. I need to find the 7 because I have a list of them. So we can't just limitize our information when it comes down to the slave trades, because this shit was going on long before the white man got a hand in this shit.
Yeah, you had a lot of people traveling from different parts of Africa and moving around because of wars, slave trades, and all that kind of stuff. So
no, you had them Turkish motherfuckers, like you said, the motherfuckers with the turbans, the Moors was going through Timbuktu. They wanted to control how the knowledge and everything was given out. So them motherfuckers got greedy and they started going over there with the Caucasoids and the Europeans and the Spaniards and shit, teaching them motherfuckers all about information and stuff. And this is how they were able to come in and steal our people, starting with the Caribbeans and everywhere else, where a lot of our people were actually already, living. Including,
well, you also had the European slave trade too. See, this is one of the secrets that the white people don't like black people to know. They one of the things they start doing is start selling a lot of their white women and children to the black Moors.
That's the truth.
Yeah, and what happened was they started having a lot of sex with these white women, and they created a mulatto race called that which we know today as the white Arabs. You know what I'm saying?
But see, they don't want to believe that. I tell people all the time, the white people was the first people to ever be enslaved. The whites. They try to put
they use the white women were
that's true.
They were the ones being traded for goods because see, the European countries they didn't have really no goods that the Arabs wanted other than the women. You know what I'm saying? Right. So what happened was you had a lot of because Spain and everything was controlled first by black Muslims. You know what I'm saying? Like these darker, I wouldn't say black, but they were darker, and some of them were black too.
And see, I have to say that we got to stop saying that there was no such thing as black then, and there's no such thing as black now. Right. And just because we're dark skinned, it doesn't mean anything. Obama's a fucking Arab. He's dark skinned. We got some Arabs. We got some Jews out here that's completely.
You call them black? They will swear up and down. No, we're not black. We're Cuban. But yeah, you've got melanated skin. And we obviously have African ancestors, but a lot of these black Latinos will cuss you out if you call them black.
Yeah, you had black converts. You had a lot of converts to Islam. And see, those converts, especially from Senegal, they went up into Spain. They conquered Spain. And what happened was they started to, amalgamate and marry into the white. They started getting a lot of the white women. And what happened is they start separating themselves by what happened was the children of those Moors, they started to separate themselves from the original Senegalese Moors, and it became a class thing. You know what I'm saying? So this is one of the things I see because of Islam has such a big influence in the conscious community. A lot of conscious people don't like talking about the influence, like how Islam caused a lot of the tragedies of today that we're in right now.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Because like if you look at most of these backgrounds in the country, most of them go back to what the Moorish Science Temple and the Nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have influences that go back to that. And when you start talking about Islam, you start offending a lot of people. Because I'm surprised, like we start talking about Farrakhan and Malcolm, you'll have you got Muslims be up 24/7. If you say one thing about them, they'll pop up and they'll try to disrupt a channel for you just to get you from talking about these things. You know what I'm saying? Because they know the thing is, in order to control a lie, you got to know the truth. You know what I'm saying? And in order to put that lie out there.
That's a good way to put that. How you said in order to control the lie? Say it again.
In order to control the lie, you got to know the truth.
Yeah, right.
And they don't like talking about the Islamic slave trade that caused Africa to be in such a piss poor condition that it's in today. You know what I'm saying? The backwardness that our people all in the whole diaspora that are melanated are suffering right now because of the result of the sellouts through Islam and the Moors. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That is so true.
Yeah.
Yep. Anytime
you cut out, Aaron. Aaron.
You know what? He's telling the truth about that with the Moors and shit, though, because I had to bring that up on the show about the Continental Congress and this John Hanson and a Cornish proposal. All of this shit that they actually created with the so-called black man or Africans that was in position in office. And even these Negroes actually had a hand in writing this bullshit Constitution of the United States. They have a hand in the laws and everything, and he's right about that shit. Like the Moors, they was always a bunch of traitors. You know, I can't put the Moors in is it antiquity? I think I'm saying it correctly.
You say the word too many times, Nandy. If you say it over here 3 times, Root gonna show up. And then you gonna have to hear about the mother. Don't do it.
You already know. You know me. And that just being real, you know what I'm saying? You ain't trying
that is a fruit, that's a whole fruit and nut factory. You don't want to get involved, but if you say it too many times, he'll pop up windmilling at the sky.
I got a video. I'll drop it in the chat. And this video it's 8 minutes long, but I think a lot of people need to hear this because in 8 minutes they give you a full breakdown of it. How Islam caused Africa to be in the condition that it's in today. I put it in the private chat. If you could play it. I mean, if y'all want to watch it, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Hold on, let me get it set up.
And I'm definitely finna write it down because I like taking notes about this.
Yeah, I mean, this right here is one thing that they can't run from this. When you get this.
Admit that I.
Let me mute my mic. Let me mute me so I can hear.
Okay.
I too, among hundreds of millions of educated people, was under the impression that the African slave trade was the sole responsibility of the Christian Europeans, the white race. That is, until I started exploring the subject in greater depth, and especially after reading an incredibly enlightening book called The Legacy of Arab Islam in Africa by John Alambila Azuma. My whole perspective and understanding has changed dramatically, and I would like you to tell us more about this subject.
The success of Muhammadan Islam in deceiving, misinforming, deforming, and contorting both history and reality over a period of almost 1400 years has been astounding. That is, until now. The greatest tragedy about this particular subject is that most of the descendants of African slavery, the black people in the Americas, around the world, as well as among the African blacks, are totally ignorant of the actual facts. Before we lose the concentration of our listeners, I would like to make the following statement and then prove it. That the worst, most inhumane and most diabolical institution of the black African slave trade was initiated, refined, perpetrated, and implemented by the Mohammedan Arabs and later aided and abetted by the black converts to Mohammedan Islam. I predict that, as usual, the two subcultures, those of denial of facts and of political correctness, will attack us without once disproving a single statement and or conclusion that we make. Slavery was not created by the white races, because it has existed throughout human history and practiced by every tribe, culture, civilization, racial group, and religion. In fact, the very word slavery has its root in the name Slav, based upon the Slavic peoples of Europe who were subjugated by other Europeans. It is not common knowledge that the Arabic word abd is synonymous with the meaning of slave. For example, Abdullah means literally the slave of Allah, and that in the language of the Arabs, all black peoples are called abid, plural, for slaves. While much has been written concerning the transatlantic slave trade, surprisingly little attention has been paid to the Islamic slave trade across the Sahara, the Red Sea, and the Indian Ocean. While the European involvement in the African transatlantic slave trade to the Americas lasted for just over 3 centuries, the Arab involvement in the African slave trade has lasted 14 centuries, and in some parts of the Mohammedan world is still continuing to this day. The birth of Mohammedan Islam and its conquests brought about the birth of institutionalized, systematized, and religiously sanctioned slave trade on a massive and global scale. In fact, the Quran allows the taking of slaves as booty or reward for wars of aggression against any and all unbelievers, most of the human population. This has led to an enormous number of so-called holy wars, jihad in Arabic. There was and is absolutely nothing holy about these wars, which are primarily to plunder, slaughter, rape, subjugate, and rob other human beings of their wealth, produce, freedom, and dignity. Mohammedan Muslim states and tribes attacked other non-Muslim groups to achieve these objectives. Although Islamic jurisprudence laid down regulations for the treatment of slaves, however, incredible and heinous abuses have occurred throughout the history of Mohammedan Islam. By the Middle Ages, the Arabic word abd was in general used to denote a black slave, while the word mamluk referred to a white slave. Ibn Khaldun, 1332 to 1406, the preeminent Islamic medieval historian and social thinker, wrote, "The Negro nations are, as a rule, submissive to slavery, because they have attributes that are quite similar to dumb animals." It should also be noted that black slaves were castrated based on the assumption that the blacks had an ungovernable sexual appetite. When the Fatimid Caliphate came to power in Egypt, they slaughtered all the tens of thousands of black military slaves and raised an entirely new slave army. Some of these slaves were conscripted into the army at age 10. From Persia to Egypt to Morocco, slave armies from 30,000 to up to 250,000 became commonplace. The Islamic slave trade took place across the Sahara Desert, from the coast of the Red Sea, and from East Africa across the Indian Ocean. The Trans-Sahara trade was conducted along 6 major slave routes. Just in the 19th century, for which we have more accurate records, 1.2 million slaves were brought across the Sahara into the Middle East, as well as a further 450,000 down the Red Sea and 442,000 from the East African coastal ports. That is a total of 2 million black slaves just in the 1800s. At least 8 million more were calculated to have died before reaching the Muslim slave markets. A comparison of the Islamic slave trade to the American slave trade reveals some extremely interesting contrasts. While 2 out of every 3 slaves shipped across the Atlantic were men, the proportions were reversed in the Islamic slave trade. 2 women for every man were enslaved by the Muslims. While the mortality rate of slaves being transported across the Atlantic was as high as 10%, the percentage of slaves dying in transit in the Trans-Sahara and East African slave market was a staggering 80 to 90%. While almost all the slaves shipped across the Atlantic were for agricultural work, most of the slaves destined for the Muslim Middle East were for sexual exploitation as concubines, in harems, and for military service. While many children were born to the slaves in the Americas, the millions of their descendants are citizens in Brazil and the United States. And today, very few descendants of the slaves that ended up in the Middle East survived. While most slaves who went to the Americas could marry and have families, most of the male slaves destined for the Middle East were castrated, and most of the children born to the women were killed at birth. It is estimated that possibly as many as 11 million Africans were transported across the Atlantic, 95% of which went to South and Central America, mainly to Portuguese, Spanish, and French possessions. Only 5% of the slaves ended up in what we call the United States today. However, a minimum of 28 million Africans were enslaved in the Muslim Middle East. Since at least 80% of those captured by Muslim slave traders were calculated to have died before reaching the slave markets, it is believed that the death toll from 1400 years of Arab and Muslim slave raids into Africa could have been as high as 112 millions. When added to the number of those sold in the slave markets, the total number of African victims of the Trans-Saharan and East African slave trade could be significantly higher than 140 million people. What is obscene about this whole subject is the Mohammedan Muslim and Arab culture of denial regarding their complicity in the African slave trade, as well as the ignorance of black Muslims about the reality of their past and present conditions. The statistics and reports above are based upon the logbooks kept at the African slave ports, ship logs, travelers' reports, eyewitness accounts, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, the facts and reality of Mohammedan Islam's complicity in the slave trade and their inhuman depravity are infinitely more devastating, more staggering, and more incomprehensible than all the nightmare fictions in the world.
Yeah, and it I hear echo. Yeah, also when they was in North Africa and when this thing first started.
That's damn crazy. That is crazy. I was able to hear through the echo and all, but go ahead, sir. Finish.
Yeah, a lot of our ancestors were beheaded because they refused to join Islam at places like Egypt, Morocco, Liberia, a lot of places where you can go nowadays and you'll see majority white Arabs to this day in Africa. A lot of our ancestors who were there were slaughtered, or they actually ran out of that part of ran or escaped out of that part of the world. This is one of the things that this is a history that very few people in the Black conscious community ever talk about. When you start looking at the year 600, like the year 600 after Muhammad, like what happened in Africa. You know what I'm saying? And I think that because of the Nation of Islam and other Black influences of Black Muslims, these are topics that have been pretty much muted. You know what I'm saying? From us really knowing our full history of our people. And you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I know I hear the indigenous argument. I have Croatan Native American blood in me, you know, also like, you know, verified, right? But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, we just going about a lot of stuff that we hear about our past is hearsay, but we do have to recognize that we may or most likely have African genealogy. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, what I'm seeing now is that people are trying to mute mics when it comes down to talking about these they're using all kind of tactics to mute this kind of information that's out. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, when you can start talking, like Sister Nandi said, you go on certain panels, you get talking about this, they're going to mute you or get you up out of there quick. You get what I'm saying? They don't want you talking about this secret. You know what I mean? This secret of this, it's an open secret. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, a lot of our people, when we was in Egypt, we did practice certain religions like Judaism or other religions. You know what I'm saying? And we refused Muhammad's form of religion. You know what I'm saying? If a lot of Muslims even tell you Muhammad went to Egypt and certain parts of Saudi Arabia, and the people there refused to even hear him out. They thought he was crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Now let me ask you this. I don't mean to cut you out. Now, Nandi, you know, I have a keen eye. I hear what you're saying, but let me tell you why I don't agree solely to the out of Africa theory. A lot of things has been stated incorrectly about that. We can even talk about the so-called finding of what everybody considers to be America, this corporation. We all know Christopher Columbus was in the Caribbean. See, we keep trying to look at certain things and bring up stuff about where certain slaves came from. But until we talk about the slaves that was taken from over here, which was the very first slave trade, what were we? And we were definitely not Africans. That's a continent that was renamed long after the particular slave trades that we're talking about people being taken over here. And if Christopher Columbus, the so-called person who said all of this stuff was going on and he found this and that, and we all know that he was in the Caribbean, how could we say anything about slaves being brought for what we consider to be today as Africa? That's what I'm not.
Well, the thing is, you understand, when Christopher Columbus came to America, his navigator was
he never came to America. He never came.
Well, I'm saying to the Americas.
He never came to the Americas either. He went to the Caribbean.
No, yeah, I'm talking about the Caribbeans, the Americas. I'm just saying, including that too. He did bring a lot of black, what you would call black Moors. Where I think his navigator was a black Moor. You get what I'm saying?
Estevanico.
Yeah. So
Estevanico, I believe.
Yeah, and the thing is, he started. They knew that the see what happened was when you gotta understand when 1492 what happened. We got to understand what happened in 1491. See, in 1491, that was the fall of the Black Moors' power in Spain altogether. You know what I'm saying? And right after that, they knew that the Moors had connections to this part of the world. You know what I mean? Like when they came here, they even had some of the Moors that were on the ships could speak some of the languages of the people that was here in the Caribbean. You know what I'm
So
saying?
what about in 1441 when the so-called founder Philip Cahuti or Hitti or whatever his name is, he had questions and definitions, and they asked what a Moor was, and it was just a Westerner, somebody that was from the western part of the world. And that's considered to be like in the areas of I think like the Gold Coast and all of that different shit over there, the Ashantis and shit. So how is it that those actual Moors, I'm just trying to see if that's connected, that they had some type of connection over here in what we consider to be America?
Well, there's like I'm kind of rusty on that. I don't want to just talk out of my you know what I'm saying, but I from some of my research that I can remember right now, the Moors, when I'm saying Moors, I'm talking about what we would call today the Black Africans or whatever from the West Coast. They had knowledge of people of their brothers living in some of the Moors will call it Turtle Island when you start getting into all of that. You know what I'm saying? They call this land Turtle Island. And so they had knowledge of our people living over here. You also got to understand that the pharaohs, you know, I think what's his name? Minister Inky talked about how Dr. Phil Valentine talked about some of the pharaohs of ancient times had, when they looked at their bodies, it was cocaine residue in their bodies. You know, they tested positive for cocaine. Cocaine only grows in the Americas. You know what I'm saying? Naturally. So they had the Egyptians and the ancient blacks. Well, I'm just saying blacks. You know, I mean, just so everybody can understand. They had knowledge of the people that lived over here. You know what I'm saying? And also, when you start going down and start looking at the monuments in Mesoamerica, you know what I'm saying? Those pyramids and everything, the connection, even in the imagery, you know, you got the god Bes with the tongue sticking out, you know what I'm saying? That is also that, like, the imagery reflects, a lot of it reflects the ancient Egyptian connections here in the Americas. You also had the people called the mound builders. A lot of them were related to the Olmecs. So
that's why
there
I'm
was
started a connection to Africa then.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that, and it wasn't the Americas then, so I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah. I'm just saying. So I'm just saying there was.
Mexico.
I'm just using it so that people can understand.
Did you hear me, brother? Did you hear the question I asked?
I
was saying so Atlan, basically, which is Mexican folklore, they have their connection to Africa too. Because when you mention the Olmecs and the Mayans and stuff like that, yeah, I believe that even in their headdress, they look similar to an African warrior.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There's and I can't think of the guy's name right now, but there was a PhD scholar. He wrote a book about Egypt in America, and he made the connection. He was one of the, you know what I'm saying, you can actually see the connection made between ancient Egypt and the Americas. You know what I'm saying?
The Aztecs. Yep.
Yeah. And and also like it like the thing is, I'm a little rough. Like when I was studying I used to be into being like I used to study a lot of the information Taj Tariq Bey put out, even like people like Ali Muhammad and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? They had a lot of information about ancient history and the connection between the ancient Egyptians and the Moors here, the ancient Egyptians and the Olmecs here in America. And it's a lot of information that I haven't looked over in a long time. So I just want to just talk, you know, right at my.
Well, we got to look at. You know, a lot of people be talking about this Egypt stuff, but there was two sections.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Mexico comes from Mesoamerica.
Right. We're talking about
Mesoamerica.
How can you know some of our heritage they start with Egypt when there were civilizations before Egypt? I think it was I'm trying to wait a minute because I got a list. I know one of them was Mesopotamia, but I think it was Indus or something like
Yeah,
that.
Mesopotamia, the Babylon, the Cushites.
And there were
So,
so many dynasties of Egypt. How can we not say we come from the Cushites or different individuals long before Egypt? Because Egypt was considered to be an invasion of the original lands of places like Kush and these places. Right. Yes, sir. That's what I was trying to.
Yeah, Cyrene. It was a Cyrenian that helped Jesus carry the cross. And he was a black man. Simon.
yeah, she talking about way even before that. That's what she's talking about.
Oh,
she's
okay.
talking about going back to like Babylon, ancient Babylon, which would be the ancient Kush. You know.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you got ancient Kush, and then you got modern Kush ain't the same as ancient Kush. That's when you start going back to that was the power before Egypt really came on the scene. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Because I think Kush was with brothers with Mizraim, Foot. I know they're all descendants of Ham.
Yeah. So, like for example, when you see a lot of people don't understand when you look at the ancient Egyptians, for example, like there were different dynasties and different families that ruled Egypt. So when people start talking about, like I know they got Chief X that talk about white Egypt, which is ridiculous. Because you can go to Somalia to this very day and you can meet the Pharaonic people. They're called the Pharaonic people that live in Sudan to this very day. They look just like the people that's on the walls, straight up.
Now, you might not like what I say. I hear all of that about Sudan and stuff, but them still Arabs. What we got to quit doing is get into the color complex of things. Just because they look like us doesn't mean that they're one of us.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying there's a tribe of the Pharaonic people, which are they're called the people of Punt. It's called people of Punt, and they talk about their connections to ancient Egypt. They have festivals every year where they dress up in their clothes. They've been doing this forever. You know what I'm saying? And you can see it. You know, I met some people from that area. You know what I'm saying? And like when they talk about when African Americans start talking about, ancient Egypt and their connections and all this kind of stuff like that, they never heard of that. You know what I'm saying? But what he did tell me was there were different families. Like you got the Pontites, the Mizraimites. You got different families that ruled Egypt at certain times. So it wasn't just like one genealogy of people that ruled Egypt, because Cleopatra was mixed. You know what I'm saying? She was Greek. You know what I mean? And that was like the last 400 years after Alexander. That's when you had the Ptolemies, the Ptolemaic rule that took place. So what a lot of Europeans like to do, they start showing these white images of the Ptolemaic rule that will include Cleopatra. You get what I'm saying? But the people necessarily that lived there,
There shouldn't be no surprise, because everywhere throughout history, Europeans have always interjected themselves throughout history and try to include themselves, which I agree with you. A white Egyptian, that's probably the most absurd, retarded thing you can even think of. Because they want to be included so bad in everything.
Well, if you go to, I had a friend just went to Egypt this year, just a month and a half ago, and the Arabs there, they'll tell you that the people were originally looked like us, and there are a large sector of Black Egyptians that live there to this very day, and they look just like they look just like the people on the walls.
I got a question. Was the people of Punt considered to be Arabs?
That they pre-exist the Islamic religion. You get what I'm saying? So when you talking about Punt, that includes, you talking about ancient Kush. You talking about those people around at the same time the ancient Kushites, when ancient Babylon was around. Like you talking about Nebuchadnezzar and all them people, they were around even then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's why Alexander the Ungreat they blew the noses off the Sphinxes because
That was
they
Napoleon you're talking about. Napoleon blew the noses off. That was the 17th century that took place.
okay. Oh, Napoleon did, not Alexander. Either one of them Europeans because they didn't want the people. They didn't want because the noses represented the ethnicity of the melanated people that lived in the area, and they didn't want that. They didn't want people to know it was them that did it. They always wanted everything. Like I said throughout history, Europeans have always wanted to put to force their influence in it, which they really didn't have any influence. They want to insert themselves.
The Romans, believe it or not,
let me ask a question to both of you guys. It's not so much as they want to, I'm gonna make a statement and ask a question. It's not so much as they want to force their existence into anything. We have to go back and look at historically everything that we had that was in its natural form, or I'm gonna say habitant original. It's all been changed. How can we follow the fact that we're Egyptians or Africans? First of all, we weren't even speaking this type of language when we were considered to be in our tribes. And if we look around, there were different tribes. No one was combined into one until the slavery started to exist. And if we know all of this stuff has been changed, names has been changed, the land has been changed or moved, tampered with, technology different, nothing's original. How can we identify our DNA or anything to go back to any of these places when they weren't in existence when civilization first started?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like when they do your genealogy, they'll just track you back to a tribe, you know what I'm saying, that it exists to this day, and say, okay, these are people that you are closely related to. You get what I'm saying? But like I have my doubts about the genealogy all by itself. But I just want to say this: when he was talking about, the brother was talking about, like, how they whitewashed a lot of things. See, even the ancient Romans, the ancient Romans looked like me. They was my complexion for the most part. They were not white. Even you'll see Italians to this very day, like you'll see some of the Sicilian Italians to this very day. They're darker, right? But they were my color. Yeah, like they were my color. You could look up the original. Remember the movie Troy, King Agamemnon? You look at him; he's a brother with nappy hair, with a big nose. You know what I'm saying?
The Sicilians are considered like the niggas of Europe or something. That's how you got there. The Sicilians actually was like the progeny of when Hannibal and his men came from Carthage and got with the native women there.
Yeah, see, the white people came into history when the Romans started going up in Germania and what you would call Albion. When the Romans came across the white people of the day, they called them the Albions. That's where you get the name albino.
I was just about to say that, albino. Yep.
Yeah, they were surprised to even know that these people existed.
Mm-hmm.
Get what I'm saying?
Have you heard
these are Roman documents that document how, like, they was freaked out that these people even existed. These white people existed.
Hey, brother, let me ask you this question. Have you heard of this another theory from the nation, the Yakub theory?
Yeah, that's pseudo. That's parables, man. That ain't even nothing you take serious.
More fairy tales.
Well, the thing is, most ancient history, especially even in African history, like when you look at the Zulu tribe, their witch doctors have stories of aliens or these beings that did scientific. They did a lot of scientific genetic manipulation on the original man. You get what I'm saying? So you hear that story. You hear that story in African texts. The Book of Enoch, the Book of Jasher, talks about how the fallen angels sinned against man and beast. You also look at in Greek stories when they start talking about Atlantis. So these ancient civilizations that were highly technological and how they did experiments on man, Even in that, where they talked about how they were so wicked that Zeus in the Greek mythology had to destroy all of these, and all of them have a similar, I think,
The
antediluvian
Mormons
story,
too.
pre-flood, a pre-flood
Yeah,
story where all civilizations have a pre-flood story about these wicked beings that were
yep.
giants that were doing experiments on
The
men.
Nephilim.
Yeah,
The
all of them,
Mormons also believe
all
that
of them have.
the Mormons believe that the angels that didn't fight were cursed with skin. That's how the Negro race came about.
Well, that's just modern pseudo white supremacy. The white supremacists, they have their own pseudo stuff, just like we were talking about how Dr. York came up with stuff. You know what I'm saying? That was just a white Dr. York, that guy. What's his name? The guy over the Mormons, John something, I forgot his name now. But you gotta understand, that's just when they start talking. A lot of them, what they do is they'll read ancient scrolls and ancient books that's forgotten about by most people, and they'll just come up with these uh these conspiracy theories for their members. Because these stories are very entertaining. When you start talking about the ancient civilization, you start talking about people start. That's why when you look at a lot of cults, they'll start talking about the pyramids on Mars, the Sphinx that's on Mars, and you know what I'm saying, what is called Sidonia on Mars. Yeah, that's called the Sidonia pyramids. They'll start talking about that in these ancient civilizations. They're talking about the ancient Mesoamerican landing strips, and like you can
Negro,
find.
you sharing something? Oh, there go Aaron.
They got
Sorry.
kicked me out somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll talk about these things, but but the thing is, and now the Moorish American, now the Moorish American stories I've heard when it came to creating of the white man was that is, they say white people were created in Brazil. You know what I'm saying? Like they got some stuff that's weirder than weird. You know what I'm saying, when it come down to these, where white people come from. The
Well,
Albion.
they was the first person seeing them, so shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, and then also you got to understand that even the more, like, you watch movies, like, see, there's even the Islamics, they had in the, like, you got the Dark Ages, right? What they call the Dark Ages. The more when you watch movies like the 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas, him playing a Muslim, you know what I'm saying? The
Yeah, I heard of that
Muslim,
movie.
yeah. Yeah, most of the people, the technology and the civilization at one point in time, around the 600s, 700s and stuff, the more modern people were in places like Constantinople, which was a black. What those people were mainly our color. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't.
Yeah,
They wasn't as dark as the regular Africans, but they more look like us.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
they were melanated.
So yeah, they're melanated.
During the
You know what I'm
Dark
saying?
Ages is when the Europeans got nasty and stuff, and we basically taught them how to wash their asses and clean themselves and stuff.
Yeah. Though she got to stand the Albions, right? Like most of white people at the time were like blonde hair, blue eyes. You know what I mean? So like that's
And
why you go out or you start dealing with a Paris Hilton with blonde hair, blue eyes, they don't mind you dealing with a brunette. You know what I mean? If not saying I'm with all that, but I'm saying like you doing interracial. But when you start messing with Paris Hilton, you're gonna have some problems.
hell
Britney
yeah, you're gonna
Spears, the
have some
blonde hair,
problems.
blue eye, the natural blonde, they got a problem with that because a lot of times what they feel like they're trying to keep that pure. They feel like that's a purebred white woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, pure blood hell
Yeah.
too.
And don't let her have green eyes, like some crazy, like green eyes, white blonde hair. You know what I'm saying? Or a red head. Like you could mess it with certain a brother dealing with certain type of white women, brunettes and stuff. The ones that kind of had that Hispanic look, they don't care about that. When you start messing with the redheads with green eyes and the blue eyed blonde chicks, yeah,
So
that's when you can have some problems, brother.
no blondies and no gingers. Just deal with the brunettes.
Yeah. Don't be
I
messing
personally,
with Mary Jane from Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying?
That's just me. I'm a black man. I love black women. Problems and
same thing
all.
here, man. Yeah, but
People like, well, black women got attitudes. Well, I'll take the attitude. That's the case.
yeah, but when you look up if anybody want to believe what I'm saying about the like ancient history when it comes to white people, that the original names of like places like certain parts of Europe was called Albion, the Germanias. You know what I'm saying? Um, they
Mm-hmm.
use certain names for them that depict their condition and the way they looked. And there were scrolls that was written by ancient Roman historians that talked about how these people look. You know what I'm saying?
But
And so,
Caucasus,
like when they start trying to,
Caucasian came from the Caucasus.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like they have, the thing is when you start looking at this history, you start looking at history and everything. You got to understand that there's a lot of stuff that, see, like when I went off to college, there's a form of history they teach in college. You know what I'm saying? That they don't teach in high school, because that's when they take the gloves off and start teaching some real history that's very unbiased. Because, like I said, you understand that they really see, the thing is they feel like, okay, if you study history, like a lot of law professors, a lot of lawyers study history, right? So they got to know where people come from. They got to know people's history. They got to know about certain treaties and things like that. That's when they start actually talking about the real stuff when it comes down to who people really are. And they absolutely know that they went in places like Africa. You know what I'm saying? They know that, man.
Hey y'all, Chuck say he got to do something with his boss tonight, so he's not gonna be able to come. So we'll cut it here for now, cause if he available later, he will pop up. So I'm gonna get a couple of hours sleep before the
All
Yes,
right.
Sister Nancy, I
Yeah, someone
appreciate
said
you, brother.
Atlantis is America. Somebody saying Atlantis is America, and I've heard that
Yeah,
too.
that was Jaguar Olmec.
Yeah.
He left.
You know, America was named after an Italian named Amerigo Vespucci. A lot of people don't know that, though.
Yeah.
So basically, we live in a country that they stole from the natives. And then another Italian who thought he was in one part of the world and was in. That's why he called the people Indians, because the fool thought he was in India. And they celebrate this
Listen, man,
nigga
they
all
teach
the
real
damn time.
history.
Ain't that some?
They teach real history in two places, in Ivy League universities and Masonic lodges. That's where they teach a real history. Other than that, you get in some propaganda. You know what I'm saying?
Mandy, you ain't fell over asleep over there, is you? We gonna go ahead and end it for the morning, but we'll be back later this afternoon or maybe earlier. But 'cause I gotta get up.
Appreciate you inviting Sister Nandy. That's you. I appreciate you the invite.
It's no problem. That's how we do over here. You don't learn nothing if you ain't willing to listen.
Yeah, me, you know some of the same people. We might have passed each other before. I don't know. We might have seen each other.
I have.
Mm-hmm.
So we gonna close it out for the Merton. This is Trip C's Treehouse, where it's always swanging. And we are out until later this afternoon.